Everyone has something to share, in either wisdom, story, or logic, and it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people unique to their own journeys, and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils, and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hale on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and store of others.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody here back to the Missing Link. Today we're excited and honored to have back for a second time a forensic accountant who's got public and private tax accounting experience and even worked for 5 years doing some forensic accounting for an FBI financial fraud and money laundering case. He's an XRP expert and expert about what's going on in the world, and he's here to share his story, his information with us again. Welcome back to the Missing Link, DaveXRPLion. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, Jesse. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful welcome. Thank you for another opportunity to speak to not only yourself, but also to your listeners on 40 channels or something like that that's taking place right now. I mean, I'm just excited right now. I mean, I could hardly sleep knowing we were going to be on today. I got to tell you, there's so much happening right now, and I'm prophetic, and I operate in the gifts. And when things start to turn on, I know it. And I've been waiting for this moment for a little bit over 3 years now. So we're just going to kind of take it as the Holy Spirit wants to deliver it today. I have no idea where we're going to go. I have some topics that I want to cover that are critical right now with timing. But I mean, I keep coming back to this point. I feel like I'm like on this national show with your intro and just how you interview and the topics that we're going to cover today. Because there isn't a more important time than right now in the last 40 years. And when I say that, I'm serious. I'm going to give just a little bit of background for people that haven't tuned in before. I've got almost 40 years of experience in tax and accounting, forensic accounting. I've worked with the largest national CPA firms in the country. I've worked with high net worth individuals. I've done some of the most complicated tax returns out there. And I'm not saying that to be boastful. I'm just saying that's what I do. That's my skill set. That's my wheelhouse. And I came to Twitter from TikTok, having done a very, very light forensic deep dive for my brother on XRP. He and his son were trading in the crypto world. We'll call it crypto. And he said, Dave, he says, can you do your due diligence on this little token called XRP? And I think at the time it was, 21 cents. And here's Bitcoin at 3,500 and Ethereum at, what was that? 800 or something like that. And I'm like, Chuck, I don't even know this world. I'm a full-time futures trader working with my own custom algorithms, doing very well. And I'm like, sure, I'll take a look at it for you. And lo and behold, that still small voice inside says, Dave, this is it. This is the one. And that was within about 5 minutes, Jesse. That's all it took. Now, for your listeners, I had 3 opportunities to get into Bitcoin at under $1 with hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest with. And I never got the green light once. In fact, I even talked people away from Bitcoin. Now, was that a good thing? I think so. Knowing their personalities, I think they would have been corrupted had they had the tremendous gains that took place. And, who knows where they would be today. But this is what I can tell you. God never gives us more or less than we can handle. And when I say that, I had to wait 18 years to get myself ready to receive what's coming now. Because the Lord told me I wasn't ready. He couldn't give it to me. Because if he did, he would lose me to the world. And he would rather not fulfill that for me at that time than to see me go down that path and not return back to him. So I think that's important for listeners to understand. We have a destiny. We have a calling on our life. And the people that are tuning into your show, people that are following you, that are following me, and a very, very small select group of people out there, you're chosen. There's a legacy for you going forward. And that's what I want to talk about today, this legacy and what it entails. And I know we kind of gave everybody the full meal deal, the 8-course meal, the 7-star hotel treatment on the last show. So there wasn't anything they couldn't say they didn't hear. Now, it doesn't mean you understand it, but as long as you've heard it, as long as you can say, I remember that guy talking about something like this. I don't remember all the context. That's enough. One of your guests, Eric, who you had on the show after I was on, and you questioned him about my comment about Stargate and the Stargate, which I loved, by the way. You're like, now, is this really true? Were we going through Stargates back in the 60s? And what did he say? Jesse, what did he say?
I don't remember. I think he said that it was much before that.
I'll just paraphrase. He said, "You're absolutely right, Jesse. We've been doing it." And I remember looking at your face and your eyes were like, "Oh, we just got confirmation on something that Lion said on the show." And that's typically what happens. I'll make a comment about something and then it gets confirmed super fast. And I mean, I'm like going, how did he ever get him on a show? I saw him on Joe Rogan. That's where I got the information from. And now he's got him on his show and he's just casual and relaxed as he could possibly be. And he's giving up all this information. I mean, I guess he doesn't have to worry about it anymore, but it was really cool because it confirmed stuff that you and I had talked about and stuff that, we shared with the listeners. But we are not, I don't want to put this, we are going to a different place in our financial structure, in our consciousness, in our health, and our well-being. And that includes our finances, than we have ever been as a world, not just a country, but a world at any time in history. This is the greatest transfer of wealth that the world will ever see. And you're all part of it. If you're here today, you're part of it. Isn't that exciting?
Super exciting. And I wanted to shout out, we just got a shirt sent to us from Shout Out Loud Clothing, and it says, fear is the real virus. He sent us a couple shirts, and I just wanted to know what you thought. Like, what does that mean when you see that to you?
To me?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I know is that fear is an acronym for I'm drawing a blank. I can't.
False evidence appearing real.
Very much like when the Lord said it was time to rest, R-E-S-T, resist every stupid thought. And what does the acronym SIN mean? Self-inflicted narcissism. So you can see how all this stuff comes into play. Because the greatest tactic that the devil ever had was trying to make things look real that weren't, or to blow them out of proportion. So something that was this big looked like it was, this big. Because he can't create anything. He's a copycat. And that's why his nature was to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's all he's ever done. But here was his other tactic, to get us to copy him and to be like him. And then we did it, and we called it success. We climbed over people in business. We climbed over people to, win awards, to get job advancements, to pretty much just be terrible people. And I was there. And that's why it took me 18 years to put down my ego and to walk away from it, because it wasn't serving me. It was just like a ball and chain. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that still suffer from that. But as we go into our new economy, it's all based on love. Its foundation is love. Its language is love. Its currency is love. And that ties into some things that we'll talk about today with regards to the redemption centers, which, if anybody hasn't heard about redemption centers, there is a huge basket of money. When I say huge, just start adding as many zeros as you can even think about to the right. And this money is being given back to all of us as a restoration for everything that the enemy stole, going all the way back to Adam. So if you think in your lineage of all the things that went wrong, it's all coming back to be good. So we're going to learn about some 6,000 plus patents that were hidden from us with technology for healing the body, for transportation, for so many different things. And that in itself was exciting. I've had people tell me that there's technology to literally clean the air in the entire world in less than 3 months.
Wow.
In 3 months, clean the oceans up. So there's no more, what do they call that? There's like that plastic island off the West Coast. It's just like microplastics. And it gets into the fish, and it gets into the sea life and everything else. Gone. That technology exists today, but it's been kept hidden, so it could not be used. Because see, here was the plan. The plan was to get rid of all of us, so that the Luciferian deep state cabal, Khazarian mafia, could have it all for themselves. And they had a 30-year plan that started in the year 2000. So if you think about where we are today, that doesn't leave many years, right? Well, they thought they were going to pull it off. Well, God wasn't going to have it. And the global White Hat Military Alliance came in starting back about 2009 and began to turn the tide, began to take back what had been stolen, what was meant for evil. And there's a great scripture in the Bible, and I'm not a Bible scholar, so I'll paraphrase, but it pretty much says what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. So it was that desire for them to take over the world for themselves, to bring evil into the world, and God used it against them to take them out. And that's what's been happening. So I've been part of the pricing discovery for XRP and the buyback, which is something that I introduced to the environment or the industry. There was no discussion about a buyback for XRP until I came over to Twitter on March 3rd, 2021, 4321. And that's why I was brought to Twitter, was to reveal the attempted theft of XRP and other different types of tokens, currencies, bonds, things like this that are all part of us going forward. So that was one aspect. That morphed into working on the redemption centers. Like I said, for anybody that doesn't know what a redemption center is, it's where we have to go to claim these funds, this money we're getting back. In 1871, our 19th president, Ulysses S. Grant, signed what was called the District of Columbia Organic Act of 1871. Now, when he did this, Jesse, he took the United States and turned it into a corporation. By doing so, he turned us into property, otherwise known as chattel. Prior to that, it was the slaves that had Social Security cards because they were traded. Why do you think we have Social Security cards? Because we've been traded. That's why we have a birth certificate, because we're traded. Those were turned into bonds, and they were traded on Wall Street. If we got married, our marriage certificate was turned into a bond. Our driver's license, our college degree, any advanced degrees. If we got divorced, same thing. So, depending upon a person's social status and their lineage, if a person, I'd like to use the example of a doctor. If a person's coming through a family of doctors and they're going to become a doctor, then they kind of are deemed to be a preferred stock or bond because they're going to make a lot of money. In 1871, when the United States became a corporation, which is now bankrupt, no longer exists, any money that was earned through income tax, which is illegal, was paid to the Queen of England. Then it circled back around and it was used to pay off our politicians here so they wouldn't pass any laws that were detrimental. And they began to just bleed us dry, created debt. So the American dream, right? Get married, have 2 kids or 2.3 kids, dog and a cat, have a house, have a job. That was all designed to support their system of income tax. Well, back in 1994, unbeknownst to me, I got invited to a special meeting with the House Ways and Means Committee Chairman, Dan Rostenkowski. Now, he was a Democrat from Chicago. He worked directly with Kennedy right up to when he was assassinated. He ended up passing more legislation to remove income tax or lower it. But in 1994, I'm at a tax conference and I'm asked to stay after a 3-day conference on a Friday night. And, everybody wants to go home and get their weekend started, drink some beer and unwind. And the gentleman that was hosting the conference said, "Hey, I've got somebody really special coming. His name is such and such. Do you mind sticking around? He's got some stuff he wants to share with you guys." Well, we're a bunch of 20 and 30 somethings. And we're like, well, okay. People started leaving because he was late, like 45 minutes. And there's just something inside of me, Jesse, that said, "Don't go, Dave. Don't go. Hang tight." And I had an hour drive to get home. So he ends up showing up. He looks like the guy that just ran through the airport from one end of the airport to the other trying to catch his plane. And we were over near LAX. And he says, "Hey, I've only got a few minutes. I've got maybe 30, 35 minutes. And of course, the gentleman introduced him, Dan Rostenkowski. We didn't know who he was. When you're that age, you're not into politics. You're into life, right? You work your 5, then you take your 2 off, and then you get ready to do it all over again. And of course, being in the tax world, it's even more intense because all your time is billable. And when tax season comes around, when tax season would come around, I would work, 400 to 700 hours of overtime during tax season. The only time I took off was Sunday to go to church. Otherwise, I was at the office working. And, here we are, and he's saying, "Hey, I need to tell you guys what's going on. There's been this plan on the White House, on the chalkboard, going back to Kennedy, and this is 1994 now. So it's like, over 30 years. And he says, it's going to change everything. We're not going to have any postal service. We're going to privatize it. We're going to privatize or modify Social Security. We're going to get rid of income tax completely. We're going to go to a consumption tax of 14%. No tax on investments, no tax on retirement accounts. And we're just going crazy because we're going, wait a minute, no taxes? How is that possible? Well, I wrote a white paper shortly thereafter on what the ramifications were. Now get this, Jesse. This was 1994. And he tells us, guys, it's not going to happen for 30 years. And of course, we're like, oh, man. He goes, no, you guys are going to be the biggest winners because you're going to get the biggest payout because it's based on age, right? The longer you're in the system, the more you're going to get. Well, at that time, he said $20 million, 20 to 25 million per person. Well, I figured it out with a growth rate, which happened to be pi. And it all worked itself out. And I've done videos on this if you want to go watch them on my Rumble channel. Laid it all out. Did all the price discovery on the Redemption Center. So I was like the math guy, right? I'm just cranking out the numbers. I'm running all the binary math, base 10 math to calculate everything. Because I've been mentored by a mathematical genius for 2 years who taught all the Chicago floor traders how to trade using base 10 math. So I was one of his pupils or his students. And after 2 years, I became what was called a certified master trader. Now, during that time, when I'm learning about all this stuff, I only had applications to use it for trading. And I began trading full time in 1997 and traded full time all the way up until about 3 years ago when the Lord called me over to Twitter to expose the attempted theft of XRP. So I bring this up because you never know where God's going to put you and what he's going to show you. Even if it's not for then, it's going to be for another time. Now, I'd forgotten all about that meeting, Jesse. And I'm working with Jimmy Valley, having been invited to come over into the confidential committee, bringing my base 10 math algorithms to work on the price discovery for XRP. Because he wanted to submit a price to the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury Department. So it was my math that we used to come up with those numbers. 25,000 for the first offer in September of 21. And then some more information came in and that increased the price to 37,500 in October of 2021. So, we're finding out what's happening in this digital space. Well, lo and behold, I come in with no experience because I'm a futures trader. I don't own any digital assets. I don't know anything about the blockchain. And I'm being thrown out there to reveal the revelation the Lord's dropping. And the first thing he tells me, Jesse, is he explains the smoke and mirrors with regards to Gary Gensler. See, everybody thinks Gary Gensler is a bad guy. He's the make-believe bad guy. He's the guy in the movies that plays the bad guy. But he's really protecting the good guys. So he was brought in, having worked for a number of years, not only with Goldman Sachs as a partner, he worked with the CFTC, which is the other side of the commodities regulation. He worked in the Obama administration. He worked on Hillary's campaign to gain intel, information on her. So he was like a secret agent undercover to get information, which he then would pass up to the Global White Hat Military Alliance. Well, in that industry, you've got Ben Bernanke, you had Larry Summers, you had Janet Yellen. These were the people, Alan Greenspan. You had these people that just moved from position to position in the industry. So they worked at Treasury, they worked at the Federal Reserve, they went into the education system kind of as a break, and then they would cycle back through. Well, after Gary did all of that, he had to go away for a little bit. And that's when he went to MIT to teach blockchain. And it was there that he was able to reveal Ethereum is a security, XRP is not. 2018. He told us the entire scenario in lesson 20, where he said, okay, you now have a digital token. You want the banks to pick it up. What do you do? Well, they're going to come to you just like they came to so-and-so, and they're going to ask you for 50% of your equity. And you're like, wait a minute, time out. They're going to come to you and ask you for 50% of your equity? Hello? Now, see, this is why when you hear Gary Gensler talk about the Wild West, he's not talking about how it is now. He's looking back in time to how it used to operate when the cabal was in control. So they didn't set regulations. Why? Because they were like the mafia, the mob. You're the new business that comes in on the corner. You're doing well, and the next thing you know, you got 4 guys standing in your bakery or your pizzeria, and they're saying, if you want to stay in business, this is how much you're going to pay us every week. And if you don't, they burn you down. They break your windows. You're out of business. So this is how the SEC operated. And the other side of it was the Federal Reserve, and then they had the IRS. So if they couldn't get you on a regulation or something related to the federal government, then they went after you for income tax. And they buried you with that because there was no way to get around it, even if you were right. They made sure of it. So what they're portraying for us is what it used to look like, how it operated. But people confuse it, Jesse, as to what's happening now. And that's okay. It has a purpose. We have seen, everybody's been part of the largest sting operation in the world through Bitcoin and Ethereum. And there's just been terrible things that they've done. It was a DARPA NSA project run by the CIA for Bitcoin. And it was used for child trafficking, body part harvesting, adrenochrome production. Just terrible things. Terrible things. And they've gone in and rounded up all of the bad players. And it's being shut off. Now, there's a term out there called ISO 222 compliance. And I'm sure you're aware of it. It's a Brent Woods initiative that requires certain things with capitalization and also how things function. Well, how many digital assets are there right now? Any idea? 27,000? Something like that? I mean, it's ridiculous. But everybody's trying to get their little piece of the pie, kind of like, well, we missed out on the internet in the early 1900s or 1990s. So we're going to make sure that we can figure out how to go and scam people, rip people off, and make a few dollars. Whether it works or not, doesn't matter. We'll call it crypto. And everybody will jump in because it's the new shiny toy. And it's that casino action. So, unfortunately, a lot of people have been severely damaged. But all that's going to just turn off. And it's just going to go away. So, the best thing to do is not buy into the hype. And I say that now because we are so close to that point where we just turn everything off. And when I say turn everything off, we're not crashing the market. The Global Military White Hat Alliance is in 100% control of all global markets. They're actually running the markets with an algorithm. The cabal isn't running the markets. The Federal Reserve isn't running the markets. The hedge funds aren't running the markets because most of them have already been taken out. So they've taken over the New York Stock Exchange, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and every other platform and exchange around the world. But everybody still thinks everything's still running the way it has. And that's just to keep everybody calm and distracted. Matter of fact, I just heard the other day that Mexico was blacked out. And why would they black out Mexico? Take out the cartels. And Trump came out yesterday and said, we're removing all the cartels. They're being exterminated like cockroaches, cucarachas. No more. See, Mexico is going to be part of our kingdom. So they divided the world into 7 kingdoms. And Canada is with the United States. Mexico with the United States. Australia. And then I think there's one or two others. But I don't remember which ones they are specifically. But everything that you see out there is a movie. It's just a big reality TV show. Now, there are things that are real, but most of it is made up. It's fake.
And Andrea is she's saying here, we're going to need to be debriefed after living through this. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about the debriefing, what's going to happen on a mass scale?
Mm-hmm. Well, we know what's going to happen initially up front. And that is we're going to have to go into a period of time where we're able to relax in our homes and be safe. And they're going to round up, as we talked about last week, or a couple weeks ago, as many as 50 million people that need to be removed from society because they're evil, they're nefarious. So during that time, we're going to see pre-prepared broadcast TV around the world. So whether you're in Spain or you're in California, everybody's going to see it at the same time, 24 hours a day for 10 days in 8-hour increments. It's in 600 languages and 55 dialects. It's professional movie production that's been going on. We're going to see tribunals. We're going to see executions. It'll be up to you to decide whether you're going to watch or not. But I imagine if you try to resist for a few days, it's kind of like, everybody wants to see the train wreck. And you're going to want to know about how they lied to you. Because we've been lied to our entire life. Everything's been a big lie. Everything from oil being scarce to gold being scarce. No, I'm sorry. They're not scarce, but I'm happy they are in abundance. And they're a natural resource that's self-generating. So we're going to see the price of gasoline go back to 35 cents a gallon. We're going to see the price of gold at the retail level, wholesale level, drop back down to probably $35 an ounce. And there's other reasons for that. But all the gold that we need to backstop our new financial system is already in place. It's already intact. It's already been secured. And there's more than enough gold to take care of us for the next 200 years. That's exciting.
Totally.
And we didn't have to print money.
Ageless Timeless Being says, will the US dollar ever have a final collapse then for CBDC social credit scoring?
It's already collapsed. On March 11th, I'm sorry, on April 5th, Trump signed us into the BRICS Accord. By doing so, he decapitated the dollar. He took out all the CBDCs. See, the CBDC was part of the 30-year plan to get rid of us. It was to control all the money, make sure that we had none. If we stepped out of line, they would take it away. And their plan was to have us gone by the year 2030. They thought they were going to do it with the C word. And when that didn't work, they thought they were going to do it with the J word. And that didn't happen. Now, interestingly enough, there's a passage in the Bible that says, once you're his, you can even drink snake venom and it won't harm you. And then isn't it interesting they found out that's what it was? I mean, it's like, okay, let's go test God and see if he really means what he says. It's like, come on. It's like, if there isn't enough proof of that, geez. But that's why a tremendous amount of people were not affected, because they were already his. And if you need biblical proof for that, go look it up. But you know, what I can say is that we don't have to worry about them. They've already been taken care of. But they have to continue to play up the narrative for the movie that we're all watching, as they continue to apprehend and exterminate the last of the evil people. You know, these are the pedophiles, and these are the people that are hurting the children and doing the nefarious things. You know, they're not here to be a blessing to humanity. And I think we'll just leave it right there.
Question here from use name one in our Rumble channel says, hi, Dave. Should anyone ask you, we know you all said there will be a buyback with XRP, and you say one thing that makes me curious. The X in XRP means you can't own it. Am I right about that? And then it's a follow-up. It's an X in the XLM and the X in the XDC2. Will there be a buyback? Is it the case that there will be in these two? Thanks for everything, Dave.
Great question. Great question. Let's address the X first. Anytime X is used in regards to a digital asset or currency, it means that no one can own it. You can't control it. Now, with regards to, let's separate XDC and XLM. They were, I don't want to say this because I don't want to get ahead of myself. There is a master key, and that's XRP. XRP was not a currency. It was hidden to appear to be a currency. So imagine you have a diamond and you've got to hide it. And all you have is a sandbox with a bunch of toys in it. So you just throw it in the sandbox. So everybody thinks what's in the sandbox are toys. So you can pick it up and look at it. And because you don't know its purpose, you just consider it to be just like the other toys. That's XRP. XRP is a key that connects two parts of the quantum financial system. And see, I use the word quantum. Why? Because it talks about being in a different realm, different dimension. Now, it's not important that you understand how it operates, kind of like Eric talked about, right? We talked about the domes. He talked about electricity, right? When electricity showed up, you didn't have to know how it worked. You just needed to know it did work. Click the switch and lights are on. Click the switch, the lights are off. It's all going to be taken care of seamlessly for all of us. But XRP, as that key, it connects the two parts. Connects the dimension that we're in, the third dimension, and it connects the fifth dimension where the QFS system resonates. It's a megalithic financial structure that's hundreds of millions of years old. I'm not making this stuff up. This has already been vetted and verified. It was created out of time, and it was given to us in time for our need. It takes care of everything. It has gone back and put every single financial banking transaction back to the 1700s into its ledger, its accounting system. That's where all of our financial assets and money will reside. It's already there right now. Your money in your bank account is reflected in real time on the XRPL QFS in an account called a quantum access account in your name. And there's nothing you have to do. And I want to be very, very clear on this. And you know why, Jesse. There are scammers out there. There's imposters. There's bots. All playing on the ignorance of everyone, trying to convince them that they need to do something through them in order to put their stuff on the system. There's nothing you need to do.
I just wanted to reiterate that is the fact that there's people creating accounts called the Missing Link Live with our picture, with saying you need to join DaveXRP's, email address. And it's like, we're not putting this stuff out. If you're not hearing it come out of our mouths, don't trust anything online. No, we're not sending you emails. We're not going into comments saying, hey, you need to go here and click this email address. They've created a Telegram account in our name. They've created a Rumble account in our name. I've actually had to speak to Rumble, WhatsApp. They're creating all of these accounts in our names. Dave's experienced this a lot, where they're creating these fake accounts, making it look like us, putting in the comments of somebody's lives or somebody's posts or something, and just saying, hey, just email us here and we'll help you with that account. We're not doing that. I'm not doing that. We're not. I've had, ever since we had Dave on, we've been hit hard on our Rumble. We've been hit on these other places where I actually had to contact Rumble to get, this fake account deleted. I'm not sure what they did. I blocked them. I banned them forever. But it said the Missing Link Live, like our name, our picture, but it had 0 subscribers, right? I think we got like 7,500 subscribers. This was a 0 subscriber count. So be diligent before you ever, try to trust anything. We're not sending out that information, but make sure you look at what's going on, what these Telegram accounts are. Make sure they're not fake accounts, because there's so many of those scammers out there that are preying upon people right now, because everybody is, interested, curious on what's going on, waiting for all this stuff to happen. So just be careful, because there's lots of scammers out there, and I'm not sending anything, and I don't think Dave is sending anything out there. So just be weary of anybody that's doing that in the comments. Hey, email us, because these are lots of scams that are going out there right now.
Yes. And I want to comment on it briefly. Understand that there are operations that are going on daily to catch these people. So they're putting information out there to bait them as well, to catch them. But if anybody is asking you to do something, move something, send them something, that's your red flag right there. Just block them, report them, and move on. There's nothing you need to do at this point. And I want to make that doubly clear. It's all being taken care of for you. As long as you've moved any digital assets that you have, or assets, off of an exchange, and you control it through ownership, through your cold wallet, where you have the passphrases to claim ownership, there's nothing you need to do. It's all being reflected onto the quantum financial system in an account called a quantum access account, QAC. And that's why we have redemption centers. So you don't hear them talking about redemption centers. No, they don't want you to know about redemption centers. And they don't want to spend, any more time on it other than to let you know it's all fake. But it's also part of the global White Hat Military Alliance. They're projects to catch these people. And the moment they catch one, 5 pop up, like, whack-a-mole. And so many of them are bots and they're electronic. Well, they have the best AI computer system in the universe. Let's put it that way. So anything that's going on, they know everything. They know who took it, where it's at, and it's all being monitored. And then I'll close with this. Know that God is in 100% control. And whatever's been stolen in his word, it says that he requires it to be returned sevenfold once the thief is known or caught. Now, it's frustrating because, Jesse, myself, and others, we're trying to run our platforms to get information out to people that's based on truth. And we're having to contend with this stuff going on because people still have a little bit of that self-inflicted narcissism wanting to go for the shiny thing, trying to get the quick buck. Don't worry about that. There's so much that's being given back. And God set it all up before the beginning of time, before we were even here. That's why he put all the gold in the ground and it just continues to remake itself. Oil just remakes itself. The moment it's used, it just makes itself. Water. There's more water under the ground than you can imagine. So we don't have shortfalls with this stuff. But what we do have is common sense that people need to tap into and not be so eager because of what we've had to go through to try to make a quick buck. With some of this technology that's coming out, I was telling Jesse in the last show, 200 years more life because of the healing technology. And the stuff that I've been reporting on is now starting to make it to the surface, and it's all being confirmed. So we want to have illness. Hello.
Yeah, that's amazing. We have a question here from Red Rocked. How do we show our XRP ownership at the redemption centers? Previous videos said not to bring cold wallets, ledgers, nanos, etc.
When you go to the redemption center, you have to present yourself by yourself and for yourself. So you're going to have to show 2 forms of identification. Prior to that, you're going to have to call a regional call center. You'll be notified. And you'll call the regional call center and they'll ask for your zip code, your area code. And they will connect you to one of the 8 regional call centers within 50 miles of where you live. Now, there's there's probably close to 20,000 redemption centers now. Yeah. I mapped it all out. There's about 182 million people between 24 and up that have to go through. Right? Because you've got money coming. Why would you not go? Unless you don't care about it. In which case, it'll just go to everybody else. But you'll show up. You'll have an appointment time. You'll be told what to bring. And when you show up, the first thing you do is verify you. Because they don't want to give it to somebody else. So you'll have to answer a few questions and show a couple utility bills, that type of thing, along with, passport, driver's license, etc. But they already know who you are. Every single digital token, all 27,000 of them, they all sit on the XRPL. They're not on any devices. So think of it like a big filing cabinet. And XRP is the key that opens the filing cabinet. So they can go in and know exactly what you own, when you bought it, what price you paid. Now you're going to know what you own, right? So if you walk in there and someone says, "Oh, you got 25 XRP," you're going to go, "Wrong. I've got 22,875 XRP." And they're going to go, "Yes, that's the correct answer." But it's not going to be a big drawn out process. And all this came about as I was working through the evaluation committee with Jimmy Valley, understanding how the NESARA GESARA component was going to play into the quantum financial system. See, we had this long drawn out process, hundreds of attorneys, hundreds of documents that would have to be signed. You have to give approval. You have to do this. You have to do that. How are we going to do that in a timely manner? And one day the Lord just dropped it on me. He says, "Dave, why would I make this complicated when we can deal with it in less than 2 minutes at the Redemption Center when we're getting everybody their restoration and their reclamation and repatriation? All we have to do is ask them if they want to participate. It's voluntary." Now, the thing you need to understand is if somebody chose not to participate, there is no market after that. You don't get a second chance. It's very much like a tender offer. So when a company gets bought out and they go private, they offer them a price and it's good for a certain number of days. And if they don't take the offer, they can keep their stock certificate as a trophy, but there is no market to go and try to sell it. And the same thing would happen with XRP. So back to the X. Okay. Because of its purpose and what it was created to do, nobody can own it. It can only be managed. And that's what Ripple does. Ripple's the fiduciary. They were the ones entrusted to make sure it operates and functions properly. David Schwartz is the one who was designated as the mechanic. He's the genius. He's the one that has enough smarts to take the instructions from the Space Alliance to know how to do and get it to do what they needed it to do in the third dimension. And this is my example. Jesse lives in a gated community and the speed limit's 5 miles an hour. No exceptions. They've got the ticket people everywhere. They're just waiting for somebody to come ripping through the neighborhood. Jesse's got a Ferrari. He can't drive more than 5 miles an hour. But wait a minute, that Ferrari can go hundreds of miles an hour. It's not built to be in a gated community where it can only go 5 miles an hour. So what is it really worth? It's not worth much. And that's what's happened with XRP, the token. They've had to dumb it down so that it could perform its duty on the three-dimensional internet, which is terrible because of viruses and bugs and hacking and this and that. But it wasn't designed to operate there. So they've had to play it down. And because it's the best of the best, it's still better than anything else. But they can't talk about it because it's almost too much for people to comprehend. Now, I will tell you that during my pricing discovery and during revelation that I received, it can operate at whatever speed is necessary in terms of fulfilling transactions per second. And that all came through a dream that I had. And I've shared it before, but I had this dream where I was standing in a room, and if you orient yourself, north is in front of me, south is where I am. I'm at about 5 o'clock. Einstein is at the chalkboard. He's up at about 11 o'clock, and there's 3 gentlemen over to my right. I can't see him, but I can hear him. And they're telling Einstein, we have to remove the E, and E equals MC squared. And I'm just frantic. I'm bawling my eyes out, and I'm saying, we can't remove the E. We can't remove the E. And I wake up from the dream, and I don't dream very often, but when I do, it's a doozy. And I didn't understand the dream. I had nothing to relate it to. I told it to Jimmy Valley. Didn't make any sense to him either. Well, here we are in the evaluation committee, and I'm telling Jimmy, everything has changed because now we're in the quantum realm. We have to process transactions because XRP opens up the lock so that every single transaction in the world, Jesse, has to be reported, recorded, and stored. And that value is $1. So every transaction in the world that's at least $1 is going to be on the XRPL in real time. Every transaction. Think about it. Nothing goes through anything else but XRP. It's the key. Nobody has permission to open up the gateway. Like Stargate. And everything goes through. Here's what it does. It's backed by gold. 62.5% of it is backed by gold. And the other 37.5% is made up of silver, platinum, and nickel. So it has a hard asset that backs it. And that's what BRICS is all about. BRICS brings in the hard asset. And this comes back to the question about the CBDCs and the downfall of the dollar. The moment all 209 nations signed the BRICS Accord, they had to sign the NESARA GESARA Accord. That goes back to May of 2020. We're almost at May of 24. So just about 4 years ago, all 209 nations in the world agreed to dump the dollar. That we had to abandon the fiat currency system, which was backed by nothing, going back to 1971, when Nixon was told by the Federal Reserve chairman they couldn't pay the debt, couldn't pay back the $200 billion of gold they borrowed to run the country from the Asian elders. The Asian elders were the storehouse for financial wealth on earth for the Lord. And they had an endless supply of gold, like a faucet. And they loaned money to all of the 300 Khazarian mafia banks in the world. And you're probably going, well, wait a minute, doesn't that make them bad? They put the money out there so the bad guys could, do more bad. Yes and no. They did it because it was a trap. And that's how they were able to take them out in the end, because they got too greedy. And when they thought Trump was out, they leveraged everything that they had 600 to 1. Can you imagine if you had $1 and you leveraged it to $600 and you lost? That's what happened. They lost. They lost when interest rates went up 0.25%. But Jerome Powell, 2022. And Ben Bernanke told us about that in 2009, after the financial crash. Excuse me. Because he told us, he said, we've had to take interest rates down to 0 to 25 basis points. And if we ever had to raise interest, even just 0.25%, it would bankrupt the world. So that was the tell. That was him telling us what was going to happen. And one other really cool thing, because I don't want to divert too much, is find yourself a $100 bill, one of the new ones. that was created by Rosie Rios, 2009. On the left-hand side, it shows the old fiat system. Then there's a blue strip in the middle. I wish we had a picture of one.
American $100?
Yeah, American $100. The new one with all the gold, inkwell and everything on the right-hand side. But what this was, everybody, was a timeline. It was to show us how we were coming out of the old cabal fractionalized fiat reserve banking system, which was backed by nothing, and how they controlled all the money, and how we were moving into a 100% gold asset-backed system. And we have to be really careful about words. We were on a gold standard before Nixon took us off. And he took us off the gold standard so that they could repay the debt. Yeah, there you go. Just grab one of those, like right there. Okay. So everything on the left-hand side, that represents the old fiat currency system. That blue strip, it's not quite in the middle, it's more to the right. That signifies in the timeline when we went on to the 100% gold asset-backed standard. See, they have the actual gold and assets already assayed, certified, and put onto the decentralized ledger for everything. So that's our monetary system. It's gold. So everything on the right-hand side, we got the gold inkwell, we got the gold feather pen, we got the gold numbers. That's the new system. Now, I was able to prove the timeline, and that blue strip on its left-hand side is July 24th, 2022. The far right-hand side starts with 1950. So this is a massive timeline. And I covered that in a prior video. But think about it. It was developed in 2009. It was shown in 2010, and it went into circulation in 2013. So for 11 years, we've been holding these things. We've been looking at them. And it was sitting in front of us the whole time, Jesse. The fact that we're going into a new monetary system. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Now, what they're going to do is when we have to turn in our currency, they're going to rip it. And they're going to separate it between the fiat and the gold asset-backed part. So they're going to turn in the right-hand side of the bill to the U.S. Treasury to be reimbursed for it. Because what do they say? If you have at least half of a bill, you can get it replaced?
The serial numbers. So as long as you have the 2 serial numbers, you could just even have just the 2 serial numbers on the bottom. The rest of the bill could be, but if it's half of it, you only have 1 serial number. So it has to be a portion that you actually have both of the serial numbers in order for you to get it replaced.
Oh, okay. That's different than what I was told. But from what my understanding is they're going to turn in the right-hand portion of the bill. So fiat on the left and gold-backed asset standard on the right. So that's just one of those kind of neat little things that's been sitting in front of us the whole time. We didn't know it. And that was kind of cool to reveal when I got that clue. The $1 bill is our only real money. And when they fractionalized our system, that value of that, or the denomination of that bill, actually became a fraction. So if you took 1 over 100, it's a penny. And that's why they took us off the gold standard, so they could fractionalize the money. And you can see that just by looking at the text for Treasurer of the United States. On a $1 bill, it's all one word. There's no spaces. On every other note, it's spaced, meaning it's fractionalized. No one had shown that before. It's kind of cool. Question. Oh, she has money hidden in her mattress. Well, if it's less than $5,000, she'll be okay when she goes to the redemption center. If she has more than that, she needs to get it into a bank account for the bank. So that way it will be put onto the quantum financial system into a quantum access account in her name. And this is to prevent the criminality or the nefarious part of currency, even with gold and other precious metals in the future too. So we're not going to have this underground economy. We're going to put everything onto the quantum financial system in our quantum access account. And that's how we'll pay our bills. Banks are only going to be here for a very, very short time to help us in the transition of the technology. Because when we first start, it's a clean cut. We're going to go to the redemption center. If we have any federal notes under $5,000, we're going to take them with us, and they're going to add it right to our account. They're going to give us rainbow currency, which is the new paper currency. And it's called rainbow currency after the promise that God made to Noah. And he said he would never wipe out mankind again. And his promise was by showing the rainbow in the sky, not some 4 or 5 letter group. It's trying to hijack it. So
Jennifer from our Rumble says XLM and XDC. He still not answered. Do you remember what that question was, or should I scroll back to it?
No, I do. I remember the question. So we understand XRP. Now we have roughly eight tokens. I call it Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. XRP is Snow White because it operates in a different realm for a different purpose. But XLM, XDC, IOTA, HBAR, etc., those are going to be the worker bees. They're the ones that are going to be operating in the third dimension solely. They will not be bought back. There's no reason to buy them back. They're just going to function for a short period of time. And I imagine that'll be maybe 3 years tops. I mean, there are generations out there right now that don't go to banks, don't use banks, don't even know what a bank is. But everybody will be operating right off their phone. And excuse me, I've got a little bit of indigestion. It'll be just so easy to transact business, but all your money is going to be protected, and it's unhackable on the quantum financial system in your separate quantum access account. And you'll have a identification card for that will have your vibration on it. No one else can use it. You'll have a debit card. No one else can use it. You'll have checks. You'll have an ATM card that you can go and pull money out initially. But again, it's not that we haven't been in a digital world. We really have been. So it isn't going to operate much differently. The only difference is nobody can steal your money now. Nobody can steal your identity. You don't have to worry about the bank stealing your money. Wall Street stealing your money because they're going to be gone. They were nefarious and corrupt systems to begin with, and they're not coming back. We don't need them. We're going into a completely different type of an economy. And with these humanitarian projects that are going to be taking place, there's more money coming into the humanitarian project space than employers that can provide jobs. And for the first time, people will not have to sell their soul to earn a living. You won't have to earn a living anymore. You're going to get to do what you enjoy doing. And they'll be able to compensate you what you're worth. I mean, I bet if we ask the question right now, how many people feel that they're being paid what they're worth? Very few hands will go up. But then we have to ask the other side of the question too. Are you working hard enough to show your worth? What they say a job is, just over broke, right? You work just hard enough to not get fired, and they pay you just enough to keep you from quitting. Well, that's not a healthy system. But now imagine being part of a humanitarian project, because everybody's going to need help. They're going to need integrators. They're going to need staff. And this is where the jobs are going to go. They're going to leave Wall Street. We're not going to earn interest on our money anymore because it was corrupt. It's like Einstein said that compounded interest was both the greatest and the worst discovery ever made for man.
I've always said it's like that was like the devil was compound interest. It's like not only was interest usury supposed to be illegal, they compounded it, made it so difficult for anyone to comprehend it, and then they make double of what they should have made just if it was normal interest. I've thought it was the devil for longest when I first started to figure stuff out. That's what I said. I didn't like that at all.
Well, and see, and part of the cabal's plan was to create enough debt to where it could not be paid back. And that's where they came up with that 31.4 trillion. That was perpetrated after pi. 3.14. And I proved that with base 10 math. But what I was going to say, and I forgot to say this before, when I wrote that white paper back in the early 90s, I used $27 trillion as the debt for the United States. And it was right on. So we already knew this was going down and it was going to be taken out. But we had to live through it with all the crap and all the poisoning of the food and the vaccinations and all this stuff that its whole purpose was to kill us, to take us out. Well, thankfully that's over. We're not going to have to deal with that anymore. And the people that were part of that are going to be gone. There's no rehabilitation for them. They were evil, and evil goes. There's no place for it. Now, some people are going to come into the system, and they're going to slide in by the grace of God, by a whisker. They're going to make it through. But they're going to be told, you know what? You just got in. And don't mess up. Because it's not worth it. It's not. Because evil will not be able to remain in society at all. Because it's not productive. It's not where we're going. It's not what things are about. And we're not going to bring it in to his new economy just because we want it. No. He doesn't care what we want. It's what he wants. He's waited over almost 8,000 years to be with us. He's brought heaven to earth. And all this technology is being released so we're healthy and we can live long, productive lives. And we have more finances than we could possibly spend in an entire 200-year lifetime. But think about all the greatness we can do, how we can help humanity, how can we restore families, how we can take care of children, because they're our legacy. And this is all about getting us to the point where, well, I think I mentioned this last time. He revealed to me that we have been living in the 7 years of tribulation. And it started on July 11th of 2017. The midpoint was December 21st of 2020. That was the day before the lawsuit on XRP was dropped. That was the date that his contract with the devil expired. That's when the devil was chained up. And come June 2nd of 2024, 7 years of tribulation is over, and we go into 1,000 years of peace. The rapture wasn't intended for Christians to get to heaven. And he was very adamant about this. He said, no, Dave, my intention was never to rapture Christians to heaven. It was to get evil to hell. The lake of fire is the sun. He put it right in front of us so we'd see it every day. And people are being taken off planet and deposited to where they need to be for the rest of their life. So don't think that it's time to check out. We still don't have a spotless bride. And if we leave any evil, we would never have a spotless bride. Think of it that way. It's kind of like washing your car or doing the dishes. And you always find that one plate that didn't get picked up, that one cup. But are all your dishes clean? No, they're not. Is the bride spotless? No, can't be. We let in one bad apple. No, it all has to go. It's going to be a process. But that's what's taking place right now with these. Now there's 450,000 sealed indictments that they're working on. Now they're playing down the numbers, Jesse, just so you know. They're saying 450,000 people are being rounded up. Well, we know that number is significantly higher because each indictment can have up to 99 people in it. But you and I went through the math last time, and if we just use 2 to 4 people per indictment, that's about 8 million people that are going to be removed because they're not good people. And the stuff that I find out about, I'm just horrified. That was all taking place right under our nose. And we had no idea. Did you know that Walmart was involved in child trafficking? Home Depot?
Yep.
I was thinking about this just the other day. Go find a Walmart. You'll find a Home Depot right next to it. Right across the street. Why? Because it was going to be used. It was going to be used for a military supply depot.
FEMA camps.
Yeah.
We have a question here from James in our Facebook, and he's a medical prisoner. He's, can't walk. He's stuck in a bed. He doesn't get the treatment that he needs. And he's basically a medical prisoner, and he's stuck. And he's like, what about if you can't work? How is he able? He can't even walk. He can't get to a redemption center. Like, what about for those people that are, stuck and can't work, can't walk? And, I know that the beds will come, and I'm sure that he'll get relief from the beds, but, is there anything that he needs to know or he needs to do, during that time when, this is all going down?
Well, James, what you want to be aware of, and anybody else that has any physical impairment, when it comes time to contact the call center, and you'll be notified on exactly what to do, you're going to want to make them aware that you have a medical issue. And you can explain it to them, and they'll tell you exactly how things will take place. And they may actually send somebody. Oh, excuse me. They may send somebody to come and take care of it right where you're at. Because it would be, more difficult to try to move you, if that be the case, than to come to you. Now, there's, many, many different possibilities in the scenario, but they're all trained and they know, they're already making arrangements for all that kind of stuff. So just make sure you bring that to their attention first thing.
And Daisy's saying, so the cabal will be going to the lake of fire. So I think the ones that have done the dirty of the dirty, I think that there's going to be all kinds of different scenarios for a bunch of different ones. But if you've done things that can't be redeemed, then I'm sure that your fate is not, going to be a happy one.
Well, it's a hard issue. And that was the first thing that he had me posting about when I came to Twitter. And I didn't understand it. Because the full plan wasn't revealed to me, just what he wanted me to reveal. So I'm talking about the importance of having a pure heart, things like that. And then he's making me aware of this. Well, there's still time. There's still time to repent, and repent just means to turn from your ways and come back to him. Receive the Lord. Now, by doing so, all of that prior stuff is wiped clean. So it says in the word. You're made white. You're made pure again. Now, if that's just a disguise, they'll see through that. But that's one of the things that takes place at the Redemption Center before you go through. There's actually off-planet technology that will scan us to determine our intentions. And I can tell you now, it's already happening. Jesse and I were talking about the Schumann resonance. And that's the energy that comes from deep inside the earth. Well, the earth was restarted. And the moment it was restarted, the Lord said, on this day, I have begun to scan hearts. Well, think of it this way. The earth has a resonance or a magnetism, right, Jesse? So everybody's like a lightning rod. So as the earth has started to produce its natural energy again, when we're grounded, it's coming up through us, right? They have technology to read that, to see that. So they know about our heart. They know if we're a good person or not. Are we harboring resentment? Are we just a bad person on the inside? Or are we a good person who maybe has had difficulties that we've had to work through because we've just been taken advantage of? My classic example is the group of people that are grouped together like family. And they're doing that because they don't have family. But they do bad stuff. And that's how they survive. Now, some of those people are going to be given a break because inherently they're good on the inside. One of the classic examples you see is, one person helps out another person. And then all of a sudden you see that person on the wrong side of town and it looks like they're about ready to get killed. And the person that they helped recognizes them and says, whoa, everybody stop. I know him. He's a good person. He helped me. And they're like, oh, okay. Now he's like one of the family. Well, that person that told everybody, not to kill him, that's probably a good person. But they've had to do things in order to be in the group because that was their family. And, I'm talking about things that be gang related. Now they're getting rid of the cartels, but everybody has an opportunity to come to the Lord. And if you need to come to the Lord, come to the Lord. No one's here judging you. It's just between you and the Father. And the enemy has made him out to be someone that wants to punish you. And as I mentioned last time, there's the scripture about the prodigal son. And the prodigal son is the oldest son, could be the oldest daughter, takes their inheritance and goes and lives in the world and does everything terrible, wastes all the money, and then they're living in the pig pen and they're eating the scraps, and they finally just can't take it. And they just throw it all in and they just say, you know what, I'm going home. I can be at home and at least be treated better than I'm being treated right now, no matter what the circumstance. But what happens? They come home and the father immediately just covers them with love, puts the finest coat on them, hands them over the authority through the signet ring, kills the fatted calf, throws a party. They're home. See, this is what God has been waiting for. God has been waiting for us to come home to him. Why? Because we agreed to work with him in a plan when we came back home. And he's here. He's brought heaven to earth for these humanitarian projects. He's provided all the funding, all the resources. Is he sitting there? Did the father start beating him when he came up, saying, "Oh, you're a bad son. You wasted your inheritance, my money"? No, he didn't. He just loved him. But see, the devil's twisted it. So people don't want to come back to the Father because they think they're going to be punished. I'm here to tell you, no one can punish you more than you can punish yourself. There you go, Jesse. Fear is the real virus. So the moment you can put down any notion that he wants to punish you, you're free. And he's waiting with loving arms, open arms, to take you back, to receive you. And by doing so, you regain your status as royalty, his royal son, his royal daughter. And you get one of the two inheritances that he has for you. There's an earthly inheritance, and that's what we're receiving with these resources. And then there's a heavenly inheritance when we're in the spirit realm with him, after we give back our breath. So it's like, you want to struggle? See, that was my situation. I got tired of it. Work your way up, go back to the bottom. Work your way up, go back to the bottom. Just when you think you're getting ahead, back to the bottom. I join him. I give my life over to him. I lean into him. He's sharing things, and the world hasn't even begun to see the things that he's shown me. We've solved mathematical formulas that have never been solved before. We're writing new quantum math that's related to things that Einstein did. Now, Einstein wasn't in the quantum realm. He was in the third dimension. God's shown me the quantum realm, the fifth dimension. It's trippy. It's trippy. And at one point I just said, okay, Father, that's enough. I don't need to know anymore. That's more than enough right now. But see, we're all going to raise our consciousness because the cabal took us off of our natural calendar, which was the solar calendar, the Mayan calendar. And by doing so, they created a disconnect with us in the cosmic realm. And you know all about that, Jesse. But we're going back to a 13-month, 28-day calendar to bring us back into sync. And when we do that, the restoration is less than a year. Think about that. Less than a year, we're going to be tied back to the consciousness of the cosmos.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exciting. And Angeline said when you were talking, this is my beautiful girlfriend, Angeline, to her Rumble, Angel and Joy on Rumble. She says, once you put down the fears programmed by man of God, the real relationship and healing begins.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for that.
We have a question here from someone on our Twitter, and we've got about 500 people here with us live right now. So we just want to welcome everybody here on our Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. Please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, like, comment, share this out. Would be appreciated. Where is that Twitter one? We have so many comments. The chat is just really lit up, and really appreciate all the energy that you're all putting into all of this.
It's all for you guys.
All right, here. Are the Zim, Dong, and Dinar the only items we need to redeem, and all other currencies we will exchange?
Correct.
Could you maybe explain that a little bit?
Yeah, it comes back to the fact that there's currency and then there's bonds. So what happened was the dinar and the dong and the bolivar and some of the other foreign currencies, they were hijacked by our government. Our government went in and tanked their economy to control them. So we had the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. So how do you control a company? Control a country with its currency? So they took control of their oil, took control of their currency, forced it to be devalued, and then went in and scooped it up with the intention of bringing it back and then having it all for themselves. So Zimbabwe was a great example of that. And what happened there was they issued these bonds to try to keep their country afloat. Well, the Khazarian mafia, which is part of the deep state cabal, they went in and tanked the economy with inflation and had people that were corrupt on the inside. They're no longer there. And they drove down the value of their paper currency. Well, their paper currency was backed by bonds, paper bonds. And this was the Zim bond. Now, the Zim bond, 2008 to 2009, had denominations that were, $1, $10, all the way up to $100 trillion. Well, these were promissory notes, promises to pay, because they're supposed to attach land to the bonds. Well, the corrupt rulers didn't do it. And then what happened is they came in and moved to the US dollar as quickly as possible. And they bought back everything for pennies on the dollar, knowing at one point in the future they would bring it back. And they would have this huge, windfall. Well, things changed. And now it's being used for the humanitarian projects. So the money that's going to be redistributed from evil to good will go to the people that hold these bonds, that redeem them. So you redeem bonds and you exchange currency. And that's very important to understand. Because when we go, we have to tell them what we're there to do. And there is a booklet that I put together that explains all of this. It's on my Twitter page, pinned on my Twitter page, along with the humanitarian initiative template. I know this is a lot of information. I'm trying to break it down into very small bites. I mean, I know Jesse's going like, oh yeah, I mean, we could have another 20 hours of broadcasting here if we really wanted to drill down on this stuff, but we just kind of have to, hit the tops. And people are going to have to put some time in to take a look at this stuff. But I think the best way to describe it is there are national programs and then there are personal programs. So people can complete this template and they can be in control of those resources to do the projects that they're interested in. And what was the project that I lit up on the last show? I was like, well, we know that people have to return to their home country in order to receive those benefits, right? So I'm just going to use Mexico. So if a person is over here and they're not documented as a U.S. citizen and they're a Mexican nationalist, they have to return back to Mexico where they were born in order to go to the GESARA Redemption Center to receive their benefits in Mexico. Well, what happens? What happens to all that labor that was here that's no longer here? It has to be replaced, doesn't it? Well, what if one of your humanitarian projects was you're now going to make one of your initiatives, you're going to set up the company and you're going to hire the people to run it, to provide the landscaping, to provide the yard service, to provide the window washing, to provide the house painting, to provide the power washing, to do all of this stuff. And that becomes your humanitarian project. That's a no-brainer. Now, are you expected to do all the work yourself? No. You're going to have more than enough money to hire people to do it. Now, our country's going to use our 18 to 26-year-olds to take care of our country's infrastructure needs. They'll be brought in through the military, not for war, but for a labor force. They'll be stationed locally, so they're working in their community. They're going to have time off. They're going to be well paid. And there's probably going to be other benefits for them, which will probably be pretty cool. But we're not going to have a bunch of basement dwellers anymore. People are going to have to participate in society because there's tremendous needs. I mean, our country's falling apart. I remember 20 years ago flying back on a plane with one of the inspectors for the rail system in California. And he said, I would never ride on a train. He says, the tracks are moving like this. He says, they're just a nightmare, just an accident waiting to happen. And this was the inspector for the railroad system in California. 20 years ago. I haven't seen much work being done on the rail system. So, all of that has to be fixed. Why are the bridges going down? Because they have to be replaced. It's kind of like a little pre-demolition to take them out. They were problems to begin with. They were unsafe. And they could have been used in other instances. So, creation and building versus destruction and deterioration. Yep, exactly.
Now, someone was asking about the Zim bombs earlier at the very kind of beginning, something about AA and AS or something. I don't know if I can find that comment. I'll try to scroll back to it, but do you know what they're talking about?
Yeah, the two preferred designations are the 2008-2009 Series AA. That's what they're referring to. Series AA, 50 trillion and 100 trillion. Those are the ones that you want if you wish to purchase them. Now, I will tell you this. After we did the last show, Jesse, I guess it went crazy. Banknote World couldn't figure out what happened. Everybody was buying the $100 and the $50 trillion in bonds. Apparently now, and I posted this yesterday on my page. No, it was actually this morning. They've created a contact person if you want somebody to speak to. And they've also prepared a permanent discount code. And I posted that on my page. It's an automatic 10%. And there's a code that you enter. when you go to Banknote World. Now, I don't get compensated in any way for providing you that information that I found, but I did my own due diligence, and that was all based upon my own personal experience with customer service, with asking them about questions. And in my book, they're top rate. Do not buy anything off the internet. When I say internet, I mean eBay, Pinterest. You want to use a reputable company that stands behind its product. And that would be Banknote World. Banknoteworld.com. And I'll see if I can't put something in the video in post to identify that.
If I grabbed one and showed, would it be okay to show people what it looks
Sure.
like?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I did the price discovery on that after Zimbabwe announced their gold-backed asset system. And I had to wait 17 days before I could reveal it in terms of what the in-country pricing is. And we'll talk about that when Jesse comes back. But I'm not giving financial advice. This is just for educational purposes only. It's a tremendous opportunity. Now, don't show the serial number, Jesse. So put something over the serial number. Put something over the serial number.
Okay.
Okay. Like if you got a little Post-it or something to block it out. But they have a program called TAP, T-A-P. And what happens is they go in, and I just learned that if any of you are familiar with grading of sports cards, the forensics that are involved in determining the value of a card based upon all the different specs, they do the same type of procedure when it comes to verifying the authenticity of that note to be true, uncirculated in this case.
I don't even know what the serial number would be, but I don't know if you can see that it comes from some gold banknote. Like I said, someone gave me these. I don't know if this is real or...
Can you go to banknoteworld.com and pull up one of the paper ones?
Okay. Yeah, I could probably pull this out of the here.
No, don't take it. Don't take it out of the
thing. Bank note
world.com. And then pick Zimbabwe.
Okay, Zimbabwe.
100 T, 100 trillion.
100 trillion.
And then select TAP, T-A-P. Be over on the right-hand side. Little box up at the top. It's a column.
Coins collection day. Here, let me get onto the screen so that way you can see it.
We're gonna take a little time because this is important.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes. So go up and click Zimbabwe. I'm gonna put my glasses on real quick here.
Okay, Zimbabwe.
Go and click 100 trillion.
100 trillion.
Okay. Just scroll down. Okay. Keep going. Okay, let's just stop right here for just a quick second. Okay. You see these prices, $1,899, $349, $599.
Yeah.
Okay? Those are for very specific types of bills that have small misprints or errors in them. You're not wanting that. What you want is that one right in the middle there that says 299. It says 2008 AA P91. That's just the grading of the bill. UNC means uncirculated. You only want uncirculated, and you want the TAP, tap, authenticated. $299. When Jesse and I did the last show, it was $179 with a $10 discount.
Wow.
What's happened since the show, Jesse?
Wow.
Yes. The word is out. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to make the next statement. You're going to stop the video and you're going to go and buy one. I'm going to tell you why. God put something into you as a gift to humanity. I don't know what that is, but he's done it. He's done it to all those that are his. They're called. When I went through and did my pricing discovery, after when I say the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe announced that they had now a gold asset-backed token for their currency. The Asian elders agreed to cover the entire cost to buy back all the Zimbones. So there's stuff behind the scenes that I've talked about before at length. So I can just give you the highlights. No country is paying for NESARA or GESARA or all this restoration. The Asian elders were God's storehouse on earth, and they stored it up in gold. So they put gold into the system. They bought all the assets above the ground in Zimbabwe, and they agreed to pay for the full price to buy back all of the bonds that we're talking about right now. That is selling for $299 right now. My pricing discovery proved that the value of that bond right now is greater than $3 billion. And I didn't stutter. I post it every day on my Twitter page. There's an entire video that's dedicated to it. It's on my Rumble page. And it walks you through how it was calculated. Now, I just took the information that they presented. So I didn't make these numbers up. They came right from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. I've been tracking this for well over a year. So I already know what the final price is. I can't reveal it, but I was able to reveal the in-country rate. So if you think of it in terms of, and again, this is an investment advice. If we're just talking about this, spitballing it, and I tell you that the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has already published information that this note, this bond, that banknote world is selling for $299 right now, is carrying over $3 billion redemption value. Call me crazy, but that doesn't change the value. There's nothing in it for me. There's nothing in it for Jesse, other than God's made it possible for us to bring this information to you. What you do with it, that's up to you. You can go and research it. You can take a look at it for yourself and decide if that fits in your program with the Lord. Go to the Lord, seek him out, see what he has to say about it. But what I can tell you is it's more than $3 billion based upon the information that they presented. And I'm a forensic mathematician. It's what I do for a living. I'm an expert in base 10 math. I've broken all the pricing discoveries. That's why the Lord brought me to Twitter. It's not because I'm special. No. He decided that he could use me in order to get this information out there. So again, Not investment advice, but at least now you're able to make an informed decision. And this is what ends up being repurchased at the redemption center from you. Now you're going to go to the redemption center if you're 24 and older, whether you have any currency, foreign currency, or bonds. But what happened was, and I'm tying this all back, Jesse, the Zim bond was technically the only bond to begin with. Now I have to be careful how I put this, because the Lord's been very specific on what I can say and what I can't say. This has been probably the most guarded secret on earth right now, next to XRP, because of the incredible, what's the word I want to use, Lord? Opportunity to work with him directly. And he's financing it all. See, this is a resource. We didn't earn it. We can't call it wealth. Anything that you earned or stole or took, you get to call that wealth because you did it. The guy was very adamant. He said, the reason why I did it this way is so no man could ever take credit for it, even if he lived 100 lifetimes. So it's an inheritance. So we have to respect it. And he demands that we be great stewards. And as he put it to me, he says, Dave, good is now the enemy to my great. So if you think about that bar, it's a high bar. It's not for everybody. And if a person's intention is to just come in and get a payday, I can tell you what I mentioned last time, Jesse. And I remember you asked the question, you said, now, if they don't have a humanitarian template completed, will they get a lower rate? And the answer is yes, they will get a lower rate. You'll get what's called the default rate. And I don't know how low the default rate is at this point, but the intention is not to make you a gazillionaire. The intention is to have people that want to fulfill that desire in their heart to help humanity, just like Jesse. You know, he's gonna be the one known in Canada for greenhouses. Jesse's greenhouses. Where do you go to get a greenhouse? Jesse's greenhouses. They're everywhere. Don't buy anybody else's, because it's the best made. If you had to go out and buy it, it'd be $10,000. What does he charge? It's free. What? It's free. You just got to get on the list. You got to go see him. Got to go share your dream with him. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Why? Because God's taking care of the bill. He's provided him with all the resources he needs in order to make that available for you. See, this is the difference in our economy. It isn't about trying to take advantage. It isn't about trying to, what's the word? Be at the top of the hill. Status, ego. No. The currency is love. You can't put a value on that. You can't. And when all your needs are met, your eyes turn outward to humanity. It's like, I don't know if you saw the little video I posted about the pastor who had somebody in his congregation pick up a homeless man who was less than 3 hours away from killing himself. And it's going viral on Twitter. But this gentleman was going to step in front of a truck that day and kill himself. And this gentleman had been at an earlier service and heard the message from the pastor about reaching out to help. And the gentleman's alive today. And he's back in church, loving the Lord. I mean, it's the most, it's the most tender 16 minutes you could watch. But it starts out with the guy cussing in church. And the pastor's like, can we stop the cussing, please? And then it morphs into this beautiful session about love, about mankind, taking care of mankind. So, I say that because God has such a calling on all of us. There's 8 times in my life that could have prevented me from being here. Meeting Jesse, being here to do everything that he asked me to do. My wife and I were on the cruise ship in Japan. We got locked down. We were in the bowels of all of that stuff going on. We saw it every day. We saw the people being taken off the ship that had died. It never touched us. I knew what we were walking into because the Lord prepared me before we got on the boat. But it didn't mean that it still wasn't real. But what did I know? I knew I was his. And because of that, he said we were protected. He put a legion of angels around us. Nothing was going to happen to us. We walked through the wet markets, the dry markets. We were having cocktails and dinner with people that aren't here today. But we came through unscathed on the outside. Still has a toll on the inside. When you don't know if you're going to land that plane on the ground, it isn't just going to go someplace else because you're basically the plague. You tend to look at things a little different after that. But we're all in the same boat. We're all here for a reason. And that's what I wanted to express. But we all have something in our heart. And I can't wait to get up to see Jesse and sit down and have a 4-hour dinner with him and just hear what's in his heart. Because I know it's fantastic. It's phenomenal. And I know equally each and every one of you are the same way. Now, knowing that, is there any reason why you'd turn away from this opportunity the Lord has? And he's inviting you to participate in? I don't think so, when it comes right down to it. But I will say this. You have about 5 seconds to make a decision for yourself and your family and your legacy. Because then your brain will talk you out of it. And the example is, you have a great day at work and now you're fired up and you want to go work out at the gym. And you get up from your desk and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I'm just too tired. Oh, I just want to go home and get on the couch and grab the remote and, and eat and just relax. And then how do you feel the next day? You're kicking yourself like, oh man, I needed to go to the gym. How am I going to get rid of this down here? Just, you have to get up. And I think what I'm trying to say is, without saying it, get up. Get up right now. Go take action, whatever it is. Even if you walk by your computer and go get another soft drink. Just get up, because you know what you do? You tell your brain you're not listening to it. You're taking action, whatever it is. But I do know that whatever action you take is right for you. So there is no judgment. That's what the Lord told me. Just like with the XRP, when we go to the Redemption Center, because it's such an easy process, you get to pick the price you want for your XRP to sell it for. Think about that. Name the price. If you watch the last video, you know what the price is. So you need to go watch the last video. Because there's a whole host of pearls in that one. I mean, look at Jesse. He's incredible. What a fantastic man for all of you to follow. Just wonderful. And that you're seeing his heart right there. That's his heart. So we're coming to an end in all of this. It's been, for many people, it's been years. I'm fortunate it's only been a little over 3 years for me. But see, I first knew about this in 1974. So it's been 40 years. And then it was 30 years since 1994.
50 since 74. I was born in 73 and I turned 50 just last December.
You're right. It's my Jubilee. Wow. Forgot about that. Wow. Well, remember I told you when the 7 years of tribulation started? July 11th, 2017. That was approximately 2 months after President Trump did his recapitulation tour and was given the sword by the king of Saudi Arabia. Well, I knew that date was familiar, and I went back. And for anybody that hasn't seen the movie Contact with Jodie Foster, rent it. Go watch it again. It's the story of XRP and XLM. It's 20 years before. It came out July 11th, 1997.
Fascinating. And speaking of Contact, next week we're going to be interviewing Gene Decode, and he's going to be getting into all of the good ETs that are helping out humanity. So he's going to go into depth on all the different races of people that are assisting us.
The Palladians, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were the second ones here. The first ones came from Vega. They were the not so good ones. And that was the galactic battle between the Vegans and the Palladians when they were told they had to leave because they were messing things up. But they've been there taking care of us. So they're part of the Space Alliance, part of the off planet. Wow.
This was the question that was earlier. Will the AB Zim bombs redeem the same as the AA? I believe I have the AA. Is there a difference between the AB and the AA? Will they redeem the same?
I've never seen an AB.
Okay.
I've always dealt with just the AA. Now, they have to buy back all of the bonds, even the counterfeits. So what I'm hearing is this AA series is the most preferred. It's the most desirable in the 50 trillion and the 100 trillion. So I can't comment on the AB because it's not on my radar. But they were retired at, I mean, maybe the AB might be the 2009 series. That would not be my choice.
What other things did you feel that you think that we needed to discuss here today with everybody? We've got right now the most we've ever had on Twitter, and I know that's you shared it out on the Twitter. So we've got 320 people watching here live on Twitter. We've got 176 on Rumble. We also got a bunch of people on YouTube and Facebook, and even got somebody here for Twitch. We don't really have a big Twitch number, but we have it open for anybody that's available and coming. We got someone watching on Twitch, but we've got probably almost 600 people here watching with us live right now, and appreciate you all taking this time to spend here with us.
And it will probably go over 50,000 this weekend when it gets posted. So anybody that's watching right now, consider yourself fortunate because you're getting to see this ahead of the masses. And from what I've been told, there is an end to the Zimbons. There isn't an infinite supply. Now, what I said in the last show was, don't trip over pennies on the way to dollars. Stay away from the used notes. Only get the uncirculated, because all of the security features are listed on the back of the plastic wrapper. You're paying a little bit more, but it's not. I mean, right now it's $349 to get a used tap. The new one, uncirculated, is $299. And I know they're doing that on purpose. They want to make sure that the people that are supposed to get these have an opportunity to get them. But I think they're scouring the country to get these things. But they will run out. And of course, they went from $179 to $299. What's going to happen after this show, Jesse? They could go to $500. Now, again, not investment advice, but don't trip over pennies on the way to dollars. And by that, I mean, oh gosh, it's only $349 for a used one. Well, no, that's only going to be as fast as they can change the price on the computer. Because after the last reveal where the $3 billion valuation came out, in fact, the valuation was like what was it? 4.4 billion was what I posted today, based upon the valuation information from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe for yesterday. People, $1 billion. I'm going, buy me a couple. I mean, I do this for free. I haven't worked since April of 2021. I don't have any money to buy these things.
Someone said they tried to print out the template for Zimbabwe note, but wasn't able to.
When they say they tried to print out the template for the Zimbabwe note, are they talking about the summary sheet?
Yeah, I'm not. That's all Sandra from Zimmerman from our Twitter.
That's what it is. Some people were having a problem printing off the summary sheet for some reason. I didn't have any problems with it. My suggestion would be what happens is when you right click on it, you can select the size. For some reason, Canva is shrinking it down. Does that make sense, Jesse? So it looks like a strip, on the page. But when you right click it, you can go in and you can actually select the percentage that you want to. You can blow it up as big as you want and just use a screen capture program and do it that way. And then just resize it to 8.5 by 11. But there's anything I can do on my end to improve that, unfortunately.
Sandra said yes. That's what she was talking about.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, it's not a hard sheet to remake if you wanted to. But again, it's more of what it represents. And if you can reduplicate that your own way on an Excel spreadsheet, because that's how I created it. And then I moved it in, and then I just did a screen capture and put it into Canva. And then Canva does whatever it does in order to make it an accessible template for everybody. So anybody can go in there and click on it and go to it.
And if after we're done, if you send me your mailing address, I can send you some of these. I was gifted here. Some there. He told me he gifted me some to gift out as well. So
that'd be nice. Thank you. One other thing too is if there is a situation where you're gifting or you're receiving a gift, you need a notarized gift letter. And we have that template in the packet. So I have a website, which is DaveXRPLion.com. And when you go there, there's a little PDF button to download the entire Redemption Center protocol handout. And it goes through all the stations for the Redemption Center on what's going to happen. And again, we don't know 100%, and that's on purpose. There are things they don't want us to know. So I feel comfortable saying that we're in the 65 to 80% accuracy range. And of course, that's all been vetted by third parties. And it's funny because there were those out there who were trying to play games with what I was putting out there. So when you're over the target, they come out and try to dissuade people. And now because we're so close, we could be 3 weeks away, people. We go into the 10 days of disclosure. We have our 3 weeks worth of food. We're seeing what's transpired and what we've been lied to about. And then we're being given instructions on how we're going to proceed. This is not a destination. This is a journey. So we want to hold everything loosely. We want to stay relaxed. We don't want to waste a lot of energy on things that really don't matter. And what doesn't matter? All the stuff in the news. I haven't watched the news in 3 years.
Someone asked that question. They said when this happens, when they're going to be doing this, disclosure, and they're like, well, I don't have a TV. What about the people that don't have a TV or, maybe aren't connected? Are they going to be able to watch it on their phones or on their computers? Like, is there going to be
I'm being told that they're going to make access available for computers and phones.
Okay, and is that something Damien just said? Let's talk about Adam and the blackout, please. Is that
yes.
what we're talking about?
Adam is the AI computer system that the Global White Hat Military Alliance uses. That's the system that went in and determined how much income taxes everybody's paid. So if a husband and wife had been married for 30 years, and let's say that the wife was a stay-at-home mom or a work-at-home mom for a number of years, and then later on the dad decided he would fulfill that role, they split the taxes right down the middle. So it's based upon the household, not the earnings, who earned it. So all the income taxes are coming back, all the penalties, all the interest. There's the forgiveness of debt, and the debt will be qualified. There's certain requirements for the debt. Don't run out and go buy a new car. Don't go out and go buy a new house. That's not going to be forgiven. There's a certain seasoning that the debt has to have. It has to be commercial debt. It can't be debt between two people. So if you bought an asset, let's say you bought your brother-in-law's truck, and you're making payments, that debt won't be forgiven. But if it's through a finance company and it meets the requirement, then it will be forgiven entirely. So this is a fresh start, people. So all that debt's going to be wiped out. But it took time to calculate all that, Jesse, because it was supposed to happen on 9/11. There was a conference call scheduled by Alan Greenspan for 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at the World Trade Center. George W. Bush Sr., he created the plan to take out the towers, to take out that portion of the Pentagon. That portion of the Pentagon is where some of the NESARA GESARA people were meeting that day. That's where the records from the audit of the Pentagon were being stored that showed the $2 trillion that Alan Rumsfeld told us about the day before that just disappeared. Building 7 is where all the NESARA GESARA documents were being kept. How much income tax is coming back? How much was on the bonds that needed to be repaid? But see, it's a placeholder, because how is it all being paid for? Through God's storehouse on the earth, the Asian elders. That has been their role for thousands of years. God gave them the resource. He then instructed them to loan it to the nefarious banks in the world, which they did. And they repaid it with interest, and then they tried to steal it, and then they borrowed more, and they borrowed more, and they borrowed more. And then eventually that was used to take them down. But it's kind of like you go out there and you got a wheelbarrow full of gold. At some point, you probably don't even wheel it back into the shed. Somebody comes and chips off a little piece of it. You don't care. That's kind of what happened with the cabal. They started to steal it. Bush Sr., he was managing $412 trillion of humanitarian funds. Barack Obama tried to steal $42 trillion. And it was only a clerical error that kept that wire transfer from going through. There was a space between two numbers that was too big. And the person that picked up the wire transfer off the fax machine noticed it didn't look right, because he was borrowing money from every major bank out there to fund his operation. And then it came time to pay the piper. And they've all been nefarious in stealing money, humanitarian money. So all of this was supposed to happen in 2001. And it goes all the way back to Abraham Lincoln. He was brought in by 20 generals to abolish slavery. And Kennedy's related to Abraham Lincoln. And we're going to find out who's related to who. And who we thought was killed wasn't killed. They were taken into witness protection and protected. JFK himself, JFK Jr., Princess Diana, the Crocodile Man, Kim Clement, all kinds of people. Elvis Presley, Tupac, and the list goes on. It's over 900 of them.
These people are still alive?
Yes, they are.
Wow.
Yeah. They've been hiding in plain sight. Robin Williams, the guy from Fast and Furious. Paul, what's his name?
Walker.
Paul Walker. Yeah. The chef, Anthony Bourdain. You know his brother is Epstein?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Bourdain's like blood brother is Jeffrey Epstein?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the chef on Epstein Island.
Bourdain was?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. And he was going public. So they had to get him out. So they faked his death. Yeah. So we're gonna find out that there's a lot of people that we thought were gone that aren't gone. But they carried, vital information that has been detrimental to the apprehension and the termination of these people. I mean, just the worst of the worst. Woo.
Someone asked how old Elvis is now. So he was born in 1935. So he would be 89, I think.
And remember, we've got the med beds. And with that technology, you can regress your age. So he looks like he's in his early 60s, if that. Yeah.
Fascinating. Someone made a comment here. So the Masons are just gonna say, "Oh, here you go. We were just fooling around all these years. Please name one white hat."
Our CIC, Donald Trump. Commander in Chief.
Is he still president then?
Yes, he is. He never ceased being president. He simply handed over the authority to maintain the continuity of government to the military.
So Derek Johnson talked about Trump always being the president. That's all
true.
Facts. That's all true what he was talking about.
Yep. And there's nobody that knows about the Law of War Manual and the continuity of government than Derek. That is his wheelhouse. That'd be like trying to take on the national spelling bee champion. Don't even go there.
Josh said he bought his Zim at a swap meet. Does that mean they're no good?
Well, he needs to check it for authenticity. I did post on my Twitter page a booklet that I put together identifying what's real versus what isn't. So counterfeit versus not counterfeit. There's a number of checks that you can make. I will tell you that there is there's blacklight technology that's built in, but you have to have a blacklight that is at least 12 watts, 12-watt bulb. So you can't use a little scorpion finder flashlight. And Banknote World actually sells one for $14. That's the one I bought. So it's nice and bright, and it reads right through the plastic. So you'd want to check it.
Now, if you bought it at a swap meet, does that mean someone can't like notarize? I think you said that if you get it from someone gifted or somewhere, he couldn't have it notarized where he actually got it from.
Well, let me put it this way. His best solution right now would be to call the person on the post that I did this morning at Banknote World, the person that is fielding the calls, and explain to them the situation. They may have him overnight it so they can authenticate it for him. That's what I would do. And they'll tell him exactly what to do. And he can trust them. But he needs to call that person that's on the post. Since Craig G. And it's a 714 number. So it was on the thumbnail I posted. It has a picture of the "Don't Tread on Me," the yellow flag with the coiled snake on it. I guess that's his calling card. But that's what I would do. Since they're running the procedures to do it, let them verify it. So that way there's no guesswork. And don't be afraid to spend the express mail overnight with Federal Express. So it's hand delivered to him. Signature requested. Where is this person located at?
I'm not sure. Joshua,
what state?
What state are you in? Canada? Are you in America? Are you in what state? He says, "Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it." Hasn't said, "What about some great native chiefs?" Says Richard French. So, what he was asking earlier on was he's heard that they're still trying to proceed ahead with the UNDRIP. which is the United Nations Declaration to give back the land to the indigenous people, to steal the land grab, push people into these 15-minute cities. Other places talking about these 15-minute cities. They're reallocating the areas. That stuff is still a go-ahead. How does that align with, this new, quantum financial system? Is this just more fear?
It's just story. There it is. Fear. False evidence appearing real. That's what it is. So you want to resist every stupid thought. And that's just part of the narrative out there to catch evil. So what I'm saying is the cabal is dead. The bankrupt United States is over. The fiat currency system is ended. It's ended around the world. All 209 nations have come together in one accord for the BRICS Accord and also for the NESARA GESARA Accord. Everything that's playing out is the storyline, the narrative, to keep people confused and distracted while the roundup process is taking place. And you and I talked about this before. The intent is not to educate everyone about what's going on. It's not necessary. We just need people to understand so they don't engage. So they're getting just enough information to not engage, but to be frustrated. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, how could we be doing this? Look what they're doing again. They're trying to do this. It's just to keep you looking left while they're rounding up the bad guys on the right. Because you're not going to do anything. But why waste the energy? Follow the example of Jesus. Conserve your energy now. Otherwise, you're following that FEAR, and you're not involved with REST. So it's up to you. The moment I stopped watching the news, oh man, what a relief. What a relief. We actually had something to talk about at night. We've been going back and watching all of the old Amazing Race reruns.
Someone was asking earlier, and again, it's be a while to get back there, but someone was talking. There's a couple people out there that aren't, that are, people in the public eye that aren't aligned with, some of this quantum stuff. I don't remember exactly what the question was, but not everybody out there is aligning with the same truth.
Well, and think of it this way. The intent is not that you have to align to the truth. Just be aware it's happening. That's it. Just like when Edison invented electricity. You didn't have to understand how it worked before you flipped the switch. You just flipped the switch and you enjoyed having electricity, light in your house. So don't make it overcomplicated. This isn't about trying to change your way of thinking. It's just to make you aware of what's taking place.
Yeah, I can't find it. We've had probably 1,000 comments far in this show so far. We're running around 700 people that are here with us live right now. So
That's good.
And to the thousands that will watch this on replay, usually this hits it before its news website, and then this thing goes wild for people that end up seeing it around the world.
Well, it's the largest social media platform.
It is, eh?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're talking like 5 million viewers.
So what else?
Well, let me let me take a quick look here. There was a couple things that I saw that I I wanted to bring up. Oh, okay. One of the things that I brought up early on, and I'm coming back to some things that we talked about before, is the fact that with the Humanitarian Initiative Trust, that's your trust. That's your projects. Now, when you create it, it's designed to be very loose, have lots of air in the description for the projects. But it doesn't have to be a catch-all, meaning you might think you want to do something now and get started in it, and it just doesn't work for it. And your interest is drawn into something different. It's okay to change. There's no penalty for that. There's no restriction. In the beginning, it was mentioned that, if you said you wanted to do this, there wasn't room to change. Well, now I've got confirmation there is room to change. And I keep thinking of things that I want to add to my list. I don't put them on the initiative. I just keep a side note. Stuff has to do with fishing, stuff has to do with lure making, stuff has to do with creating more lakes so we can take the kids out fishing, spend time with them. I mean, the sad part is people don't know how to do anything anymore, Jesse. They can't screw in a light bulb. They can't hammer two boards together. They don't know how a screwdriver works. They got to call somebody to come do it. But we're going to come back to being able to do stuff for ourselves. Or at least I would hope so. I mean, my generation was, my dad being law enforcement. We didn't have any money. We used to go and collect telephone poles on the side of the road. So he'd drive around on his police motorcycle all day long. He'd come home and say, okay, we got 4 telephone poles to go pick up. And I'm like 8 years old. Imagine me on the end of a 12-foot telephone pole with my hands between my legs trying to carry this thing to the truck. And it's dragging because I can't pick it up. Or selling firewood. We raised livestock. We did everything to make an extra buck. Those days are over. People won't have to do that anymore. They lean into the Lord. He's going to make their steps easy. He's going to guide them in everything that needs to be done. But one of the things that came up, and this is why I'm bringing it up, is that we're now being told to not expect to do anything for at least 90 days. Now, there's going to be non-disclosures that we have to sign. Everybody has to sign it. And depending upon how much money you get and the terms for payment, you could have a non-disclosure that lasts for 20 years. And you can't disclose that information to anybody. And if you do, you'll lose it. They'll take it away. It's to be kept private. It isn't for the world to know. So I want people to understand that. But what was that other part? Yeah. So the way the Lord explained it to me, he said, Dave, this is a journey. It's not a destination. So that first 30, 60, 90, even up to 6 months, he says, I want people to lean into me. I want to commune with them. I want to have time to share with them our plan that we're going to do together. Makes sense to me. He says, let's go on a vacation together. Because this is what he told me. It just blew me away. Because a lot of people were scared about thinking that they were creating so much work they couldn't get it done. And I said, Lord, how much time are we going to have to spend on this? Because my project is pretty big, taking care of everybody else. And he said, 67.5% of the time, or 62.5% of the time. And I went, oh, okay, well, at least it's not 100. And he goes, oh, no, Dave, you got it wrong. You and I are going to spend 62.5% of the time together, and you're only going to work 37.5% of the time. I went, oh, that's what I wanted. That's so much better. That's so much better. It's not designed to just, turn us into this person that is just working frantically. No. It's supposed to take time. There's no rush. And when we're working with the Lord, our step is going to be perfect. It's not going to be like how we would do it, right? We end up taking 10 steps and then we got to take 20 steps back. Like watching the people that don't read the clue on Amazing Race. And they get to the end and he says, well, you're team number 4, but you didn't complete one of the tasks. And they're like, what do you mean? What didn't I do? Well, it said to walk. You took a taxi. Now you have to walk back and then walk back up before I can check you in. And they do it over and over and over. God's saying, no, we're not going to have that issue. We're going to sit down and we're going to commune and we're going to have a great time being together. And it's all in love. And then we're going to talk about what we're going to do. And then we'll just do it. How's that sound? I mean, I can't imagine a more foolproof system. Why? Because he already created everything. He knows exactly who you're going to be talking to, Jesse. He already knew the day that you and I were going to connect. He just didn't share it with us yet until that moment. But it was already set in motion before time began. And you had to be here and I had to be here. So we had to make sure that all that worked out. So everybody just relax.
And that's all God really wants, is to, have a relationship with everyone again. That was the biggest thing, is that, with all the craziness, with people taking away the minds, getting into the mind space, taking people away from their heart space, people truly have really lost their connection to our Creator. And then that's all the creation wants, is to truly have that connection restored, so you can live and bask in that love and you will no longer be afraid.
Amen. Very well put. Very well put. So what is Mr. Wilkes saying?
That's how my life has been. He agrees. He's 100% agrees with you. Apparently he knows Trump's cousin or something.
Oh.
So he actually was his roommate or something at one point in time. So we've actually interviewed him as well. I've waited for all of you. I knew this, says David. So no, don't pay your taxes. That's what I was gonna say when you mentioned that. What about for the people that have been awake and aware for a long time that haven't paid taxes in many, many, many years? That part doesn't get paid back, I guess.
Well, anything that hasn't been paid would be considered illegal, right? And you just wouldn't get it back because you didn't pay it.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing they're going to go back up to 40 years.
Oh, wow. Well, I did pay taxes maybe 15 years ago plus, or whatever, from the time before I was kind of awake and aware to that kind of stuff. So Johnny Amaru, George Trump, I think that's who David was talking about.
Well, it's a small circle. It really is.
Yeah. Wow, this is hard. Another hard-hitting interview here, brother. Lots of great information. How are you feeling?
Me? I'm
Yeah.
tired. I'm tired. But see, but what I know is when I start to feel this way, big changes are right around the corner. Right around the corner. And here we have the completion of the 7-year tribulation on June 2nd. And the flyover, the no-fly zone over Mar-a-Lago ends at the end of this month. So the government moves. The government wouldn't be moving unless something was happening. So end of this month is critical. And I want to say this the right way. Several countries are already involved in the RV. And I'm talking Redemption Center component too. And we're 3 weeks behind on purpose. So they want to make sure everything goes smoothly internationally. So when we activate here, even though we're activated, there aren't any hiccups. And the intel is now using very descriptive words. Begun, completed, not the passive words. Can, will, could. And you don't do that unless things are being finalized. So there's never been more truth coming out versus disinformation. And again, operations are still in effect. Those will just continue on. So they're not letting up on that. But we just need to be prepared mentally, spiritually, physically. And there's time. There's time to come to the Lord.
UU Home 173 from our Rumble, I think, asked this before. It says, will I be able to retire? And then I think this one was retirement age. I'm assuming they're maybe a little bit older.
60 is the new age for Social Security.
60.
Mm-hmm. So once you're 60, you'll automatically go onto the Social Security system.
So who do we pray for in order to support the cause?
Well, let's take out the word pray and let's use the word praise. And let's offer up praise and thanksgiving to our Father, who has already taken care of everything that needed to be done. By doing so, we're acknowledging that He is the creator. He is the one. And that He's already done it. When we do that, He releases the Holy Spirit to bring in the manifestation. That was the biggest change in my life. Is when I came to understand that the church, the Vatican, had changed praising to praying. That took it from being active and already done to now hoping and wishing. Basically neutered us. Think about that, Jesse. So
I like how you put that.
We're no longer giving God credit for what He's already done. He's an emergency switch on the wall. God, just get me out of this bind. I need to pay the rent this month. Just you do this, God, and I'll do that. Doesn't work that way. It never has. And He can't do something again that He's already done. So we need to put down praying and we need to change that to praising. And I talked about that with the revelation of Daniel in the 21 days. The Vatican has been messing around with the Bible, changing the words subtly, just like taking sevenfold out of God's promise and putting in 7 times. Well, $1 times 7 is $7. $1 in a 7-fold calculation is $823,543. Big difference. And people just go along with it. Why? Because they don't spend any time to know it, to learn it, to get the revelation from him. When you spend time with him, the Lord, he drops so much revelation, make your head spin. And you're like, Lord, why are you sharing all this stuff with me? Well, because you're here with me. You took time out to be with me. I'm going to show you the deep places. I'm going to show you the miracles. I'm going to show you the signs and wonders. I'm going to tell you about math that's never been created before. But Lord, I don't know math. But I do. See, there's no limitation for us with him. Think about that. There's no limitation for us with him. It's, what do you want to know? I mean, I'm serious. The moment you change that, your life will change instantly. Because he has waited so long for us to be able to come back to him. See, that was the promise, Jesse. We made a covenant promise with God. He made a covenant promise with us before we became flesh and blood. And he said, here's the covenant. If you'll agree to become flesh and blood and dwell on the earth, knowing it has a sin nature, I will guarantee that I will provide you a way home to me. That's it. That's why we're here, to fulfill that covenant. But what does the enemy do? He makes it something terrible. Oh, don't go back to the Lord, because he's just going to beat you. He's going to punish you because you partook of the sin nature. There isn't anybody that hasn't, if that's any relief. No one came onto this earth except for Jesus and didn't partake of its sin nature. And what is its sin nature? Narcissism. But his hope was that we would see it for what it was, we'd put it down, and we'd return to him. And we'd fulfill that part of the covenant. So we would be made royal son, royal daughter. We could receive the inheritance. But what is more profound is it couldn't happen, Jesse, until after December 21st of 2020. Let that sink in. It couldn't happen until after December 21st, 2020. All we had before that was God's promises. He couldn't lift a finger to help man. But he became flesh and blood as Jesus. Jesus received the Holy Spirit and fire, right? He got the full measure and fire. And he reconnected our ability to communicate through the Holy Spirit to the Father, as it was in the garden. So the devil had no claim saying that he violated the terms of the contract, because we were dealing with the Holy Spirit. Because what does the word say? If you lack wisdom or you need an answer to anything, seek out the Holy Spirit. It doesn't say seek out God. It says seek out the Holy Spirit. He will go to God on your behalf and search out the deep places, and he will return with an answer. See the difference? Can't violate the terms. But he fulfilled his covenant because he gave us Gentiles a way to come home, to connect back with God, our Father. And that is the easiest way for anybody, no matter what they want to call their religion. whether you're Jewish, you're Muslim, you're Arab, whatever, you can receive Jesus right this minute as your Lord and Savior. Why? Because he's your way home to the Father. Period. And then it's you and God. It's not a priest. It's not the Pope. No, it's you and the Father. That's where the relationship lies. But he twisted it and he contorted it so we wouldn't want to go to the Father because we believed that we were going to be punished. No. Jesus came so that would never be a possibility. Because it says, once we come through Jesus to the Father, the slate is wiped clean. If the devil back then had tried to take us to court, because everything's a battle of truth, there wouldn't be any evidence to find us guilty. But until we do that, we're still in our sin nature. We were not born sin, because God doesn't create sin. But when we came to the devil's playground here on earth, this had a sin nature because Satan was here and a third of the angels. And God gets back everything that was stolen sevenfold, doesn't he, Jesse? I'm actually working on the mathematical equation of exactly how many people that is. He gave me the equation the other night while I was sleeping.
I'm sure that's an astronomical number.
Well, it's a number that's going to be known. I mean, we know that 1 goes to 823,543. Well, now I just need to know what is the number for a third of the angels plus 1, and then run it sevenfold, and that tells me how many God gets back. Right? It's all math. Because he knew there was going to be those that used free will that wouldn't come home. They would be caught within the trappings of narcissism. And they would go down by the wayside because of that. See, that's why he wouldn't give me up to the world. He said, I'd rather not be able to deliver to you right now what it is you've asked for than to lose you to the world. Because he knew it'd be permanent. Because he created everything already. I mean, if he knows the exact number of hairs on my head, he knows the exact day I give back the breath he gave me. I'm here on his time. But we're taught we're here on our time to be successful.
God's will versus free will.
Mm-hmm. And of course, his will has already been done. So it's not like he's just waiting every day to see what his will is going to be for each person. No, it's already determined. We're just living out one of those realities. And once it's chosen, it's chosen. But he had to work through every single reality for each and every one of us and make sure that the resources were there. I mean, we can't even contemplate that. And we're sitting here worrying about the cable bill. but it's been a long road. And what I can say is we're at the end of the road.
To the new beginning.
To the new beginning, exactly. So we're going to finish strong. And this is when we don't let our guard down. This is when we don't allow offense to come in. Because that's the minions' tactic at the end. It's all they can do is bring offense. And offense is the smallest infraction that separates us from God, that keeps us from going through. See, we want to be the ones that go through the redemption center with flying colors, not the ones that just squeak by. We got to pass. Because there's too many important things to do, too many people to love. I remember when I was growing up, there was a song, "They'll know we are Christians by our love." Well, let's prove it.
David says, "You're earning your money today, Jesse. That's for sure. We don't get any money for this. We have some people that, do donate. We've got a few subscriptions that pay for our, Rumble, and pay for our BitChute, and pay for our Odyssey, and pay for our StreamYard. But we've got a lot of expenses, here, and, we do this more of our service to humanity than getting paid. That's funny, getting paid for this, but we
Well,
really
let me say this, Jesse, because I've talked about this before, and I don't think I've mentioned it to you or your listeners. After we get through all this, we are going to have a Jubilee celebration in Arizona, in Phoenix, for the XRP buyback. I want you to be my personal guest.
That'd
So
be
we'll
amazing.
take care of everything for you. But I would enjoy you being able to be there and participate, because I want more people to hear your story. But we're going to be renting out the entire stadium. So you thought Las Vegas was big? It's nothing compared to what God's shown me. I just been keeping it on the down low.
Wow, appreciate that. We would definitely come there.
Yeah, we'll have over 60,000 people show up.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll fill the stadium. And we've got some of the top Christian artists that'll be participating. So it's going to be just a wonderful time to celebrate what he's done and come together. And not like how most people are going to do it. So,
David, bring me, please.
well, people will be able to participate and come.
Here's a question from Richard. Do you ask your host what the outcome for the tampon Trudeau Castro in Canada, the prime minister? Any thoughts on there? You hear anything about?
He's already gone. That's a clone. Yeah, he's been gone for almost 2 years. Most of these people at that level have already been taken out.
Yeah, that's what someone said. He's dead as well.
Yeah.
My son has Down syndrome. How does that work at the redemption?
Is he over 24 years old? I'm assuming he is. And if so, then what will happen is mom or dad or both will make the call with him to set up his appointment and make them aware of the situation as a special circumstances. And they'll make arrangements for one or both to be with him during that process. So we have a lot of variables, but just rest assured that it's all being thought through and nobody's going to be left out.
Will Stephanie Gretzinger be singing there?
I'm not familiar with her.
Me neither. And there was another question. Oh, right here, Marissa says, why are the J6ers still in jail, if some are, and why are the Coots brothers still in prison? Some people are, still...
Protection. And a lot of it is a narrative. Kind of like Epstein. He's still alive.
That's what I was going to ask. Did he turn witness?
Yeah. Yep.
Great interview. May the Q be with you. I like that no longer the ball.
I think they saw him in Cuba. Have you seen the crazy stuff they're putting out on Twitter that he looks like Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill?
No.
Epstein. Got all the indentations and everything. Kind of spooky.
Someone asked, are we supposed to just wait around for the white hats to, fulfill all this? But I was going to ask, well, my question is, what would you do different if they were or they weren't, happening, right? Would there be anything different if you were to wait, or if they're not, do whatever's in your heart, right? Whether someone's coming or someone's not, do what your heart tells you to, whether there is help or there isn't. What are you going to do?
Well, and if you don't mind me addressing that question, someone asked me once, they said, my brother is just a ding dong. He's made the worst decisions in his life. He's a good person. What's going to happen for him? He just seems to make the wrong decisions with the wrong people. I said, there's two things that we know. He's going to have 13 days to have his come to Jesus moment during the disclosure. If that's not enough, then you want to make sure that you're going directly to the Father and interceding on his behalf, giving the Father praise and thanksgiving for having already transformed him. See the difference? Praise and thanksgiving that he has already transformed him, not to transform him, that he's already been transformed. And then you just set it down, you leave it in God's hands. If a person is not supposed to be here, they won't be here. And I'm not being callous when I say that. God has a plan. His ways and his thoughts are higher than ours. And we have to accept the fact that he knows what's best. But if we go and intercede for that person, I count it good. I count it done the moment that praise and thanksgiving is given. Okay?
I've always set my alarm to 11:11. Well, for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I don't know. It's been a very, very long time. And I always just set out, a thoughtful wishes, and, and at the time, pray, just set time to give thanks, to connect to the Father or whatever, right? So every time 11:11 comes around, I would, do that. And I've been doing that for years and years, twice a day, because a lot of people, they seem to forget to connect, forget about, and that's like how we talked about earlier. And I was doing these lives maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and a friend of Angelina and I's, Venus, came on, and I think it came, and I think I said it out loud what my, my intention was for the day. And he's like, instead of like asking for things, why don't you give more thanks? And it was like so profound. And then ever since then, it's been all about thank you for our lives, thank you for our hearts, thank you for another day, thank you for all of this beautifulness. And it really transformed me, to give the praise opposed to having to pray. And you said it really profoundly, and I really like the way how you said that, because that's actually helped me a lot, because I'm looking not to use the words that I'm not in alignment with, and I much rather say praise than pray. And I think I'm going to look to adopt that the best that I can in my lingo, because I only want to say things that are in alignment with me and my heart. And I don't want to give energy to some of these spell words that they are, that are trying to get power in the spelling.
Right. Well, and this is where if a person reads The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, Wattles, I mentioned this before. That was one of the books that was a capstone for me in the transition. He wrote it in the early 1900s, and he wrote it for the secular world. He only uses the word God twice in the book. But it was when everything was being created. And he helps you understand how to train your mind to think a certain way. That's how he puts it. You train your mind to think a certain way. Then you learn how to speak a certain way. So you don't use will, may, might, all the prepositional phrases. You don't use those. You use words that confirm what's already been done. And that's what releases the manifestation. It isn't say this word 5 times and, say it every morning when you get up, when your feet hit the floor. No, that's an incantation. That's a spell. It's like cursing. Cursing has changed to cussing. It was all intended to put a spell on somebody for evil. We just don't understand that's how it was used. So 4-letter expletives have become adjectives in their vocabulary. And it can actually mean something good. But yet it can have a derogatory connotation. So we have to be careful how we use words, because words are power. Right? Life and death are in the power of our tongue. So we have to train ourselves to catch what we say. And it works really well when your spouse is there to help you. Because then they're catching you, you're catching them, then you're catching yourself. And then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute. It's like worship music. You can't have worship music, Jesse, that has 2 separate connotations. If I say something is done, I can't, in the next lyric, say, I hope it's done. Or it might be done, or it could be done if he wants to. No, it's either it is or it isn't. That's why in the Lord's Prayer, when the disciples went to Jesus and said, Jesus, how do we pray to the Father? And he says, this is how you pray to the Father. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is. That's the most powerful part of the whole prayer. It is. What is it is? It's him. You can't have it without him. But everybody glides through it at rapid speed to get through it. And they miss the most important part. And I remember when the Holy Spirit brought that to my attention, I was like, oh. It's like slow down, understand what is going on. And that really happened when we went to Israel. The land created by Rothschild. Because so many things are taken out of context. I mean, when you're there in the land and they talk about a mountain, it's like a hill. So everything was kind of bigger than life. But Hades was a place where the pagans went to have their festivals. And that's where Jesus asked his disciples, who do the people say that I am? And that's where the revelation from the Father to Peter came about who Jesus was, that he was the Messiah. But the disciples didn't understand what Jesus was trying to tell them. It was the revelation that was so powerful that not even the gates of hell would prevail. Well, they were there at the gates of hell, and the cave was called Hades. Like 400,000 pagans would show up every year to do their stuff there. And it was just as black and just evil looking as possible. But if you didn't understand that, you would think they're talking about some other place. But it was right there. So Jesus couldn't go into a pagan temple. He had to stay on the outside. Now that's interesting revelation to drill down on. Why was that?
That's fascinating.
Yeah, think about that. Why couldn't he go into a pagan temple? I don't have an answer for it right now. Be a good topic of discussion. So, what other questions do we have here?
Well, I think it's the same as the, giving energy to somewhere where you don't want to give your energy to, not being a part of something that you don't want to be a part. Just the same as the words. Why would he want to put his energy with something that he wasn't in alignment with?
Yeah, but he was in the bars. He was with the people. He was with the landowners, the rulers. They were bad. All the disciples were picked for Jesus except for one. And it was the rich merchant who Jesus called down. And he said, I want to follow you. And Jesus said, okay, sell everything you own and follow me. And he said, I can't do it. Because he had a business. He couldn't just abandon his business. But every other disciple was picked for Jesus by the Lord. By God. So the one opportunity he got to pick one, he couldn't do it. There was more to it than that too, but he was changing the prices on people. So people that knew him got the better products. People that didn't got the raw deal.
Lady Hawk of Colorado, maybe. What will become of the insurance industry post NESARA?
That is a great question when you think about it. It's possible we'll have some kind of revamping of that. But for the most part, I think most of us are going to be in a situation to self-insure. Like right now, people don't know that you can actually go out and buy a bond, a $300,000 bond, and you don't need auto insurance. So you can buy a bond for $200. But most people don't have the backstop if it goes beyond that. So there's all these little, things that they set up for themselves. It's kind of like they knew that they could carry on their nefarious actions. And remember Madoff, the guy that stole everybody's money?
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah. and the SEC came in and tried to claw it back. Well, what they did is they gave each other money through their foundations, and you can't claw money back from a foundation. So when they realized it was given to foundations, they couldn't do anything about it. So they went after the people that got the money, that cashed out, that exited, and then threatened them. So that's what he did with the majority of the money. He gave it to other nefarious people through their foundations. That's what the Clintons did. They operated everything through their foundation.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff. That's it. Yep.
A couple people in the audience here picked up on that one. Then can we legally become our own banks?
Well, we are going to be our own banks with our quantum access account. So the answer is yes. Does it mean you can loan money? Sure you can.
Just don't charge interest on that.
Just don't charge interest. Exactly. Follow biblical principles.
When I was living in Mexico, maybe 25 years ago, and I was they called me a pirate, but I took people VIP to the nightclubs at the time I was still drinking alcohol then, and I was making quite a bit of money because I had light skin, so people trusted me a lot more than they would trust, just a Mexican out of the blue, right? So I was taking 30, 40, 50, 60 people a night with me to the club, and they paid me $4 US for everybody I brought to the club with me. So I had pockets full,
Wow.
oodles full of cash. So this is 25, this is 2001, 2000, so 22 years ago, I think it was. And so I had oodles and oodles of cash, and all of the Mexican guys, I kind of worked out of this Sunrise Marina, and they would all ask me to borrow money, and I'd all just lend them all money. And every time on the 1st and the 15th, I'd have a lineup full of people paying me back. And every once in a while, I wouldn't see them anymore. They wouldn't work at the marina, and I'd lose a little bit of money, but I would never ever ask anybody to pay me interest on top. They just paid me. I just gave them money and they just paid me back. So it was weird. It was like I was kind of like a little bit of a bank at the time, but I was just had so much money, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't put it in a bank. I couldn't get in a bank account at that time because I wasn't working there legally. I had to go to Belize and come back to get a new tourist visa, and I was just there making cash money, right? And so it was quite a interesting time of my life, but it was really neat to experience a different culture and the inner workings. And my job, they called me a pirate. They technically so I was a real pirate, but I didn't rob anybody or
That was because you were loaning money.
Yeah. No, the pirate was anybody that takes people VIP to the nightclubs. So you're a pirate. So I would get onto a bus and I would ask, hey, there'd be 20 people all hanging out, and I'd say, hey, where are you guys going? Oh, we're going to Coco Bongo. And I'm like, well, would you like to come with me? I'll get, you can come in, we'll jump the lineup. You don't have to pay me anything. We'll get a seating and a waiter and everything, and you don't have to pay me nothing. You just have to walk in the door with me. Oh yeah, you're our new best friend. And they would like show up at my marina there every day that they were there to come hang out and party with me. So I would just set them up, and then I would go back and just ride the bus. So you're like a pirate. You're pirating people to bring them into these nightclubs. And so that's technically I was called the pirate, but it was, quite and I always wore a bandana. So everybody's like, look for the white guy with the bandana. I had a bandana on, right? People are always saying he'll take you to the nightclub, but then I would like protect them as well, right? I would bring them with me, and I would make sure whenever they need anything and help them out. So I had so many people really appreciate the time that I was there with, they got to spend with me, because I helped make their trips better and safer for them while they were in Mexico. So it was a pretty wild time of my life.
That's cool. I like that. You don't think about those kind of things. No. It's kind of like my wife and I have traveled the world, and you go to another country and you meet somebody that's 12 years old that speaks 7 languages, and they're a hustler. They're just busy. And you're like, oh, I only speak English, British. What else do I speak? Brazilian. I just don't have any language skills. We're lazy here in America. Too lazy. But all that's going to end. Now we have a reason for what we're doing. It isn't about trying to make us better financially, because he's already done that. That's the thing that just blows me away. When you think about the sheer amount of wealth that the Asian elders stockpiled, their smallest amount of stored gold would give every person in the world $871 trillion. Everyone. Wow. Wish I knew you back then, Jesse. Well, that's going to be one of his humanitarian projects. He's going to be running shuttle services.
I let everyone speak here on the Missing Link. It doesn't matter which side you are on. I think everybody that has a story to tell, we want to share that. We don't tell anybody what to think here. We're just presenting you with every side of the fence, so that way you can choose what's in alignment with you and your heart. All we ask is you to be respectful of anyone that we choose to have here on the Missing. If I've brought someone here is because disrespecting them in any way is disrespecting me, because I've chosen, and I just want to bring the best information and the best people out there that are providing this information. And I think that if you have all of the information, then you can find what's most in alignment with you and your heart.
That's right. Just like David said, we've been dumbed down on purpose.
Do we need step-by-step instructions to get the insurance bonds? Are there special documents? How long are they good for?
Insurance bonds. What are we?
The ones that you talked about with the insurance, I think you said anybody could pay $300 to get insurance. And then they also asked, can you buy multiple bonds for your own insurance?
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of ways for us to purchase insurance. Plenty of ways. And the only question will be is how much you decide you need. Because we're not going to do stupid stuff anymore. Because what did time do for us? Just made us crazy.
Andrea, so she says, can't we live in a world where money is obsolete? That's where we're heading towards. That's the whole thing, is we do not need a scorecard to show what you can and can't do if you don't have enough of currency to be able to do or not do things. I think that's where this whole thing is headed.
Well, that brings up a topic that reminded me of something I wanted to say, and that is, with the technology, living to be 200 years old is going to be standard. So one of the questions that came up with the structured settlement for the bonds, they're not going to just hand us all the money. It's going to be set up so we are able to pull a certain amount every year. Now, one of the things that just popped up was, well, wait a minute, if you're living 100 to 200 years now, maybe you want to have a longer structured payout. Well, this is what I would like to address with that. When I did the timeline on the $100 bill, it showed me when we would no longer need currency. And why would that be? Because our consciousness has been raised. With replicators and also our ability to create what we need, we won't need money. So we have to be very careful that we're not pulled into a program or suggested into a program that puts our money in a time period where it does nobody any good. And here's my example. What I was able to determine was within 25 years, we won't need money anymore. Well, why would I ever be involved with a 50-year structured payout? There's 25 years it's going to be lost when money's no longer used. And I wasn't getting access to my money during that period of time. So I'm looking at, and again, this is just my personal opinion, I'm looking at something in the 20 to 25 year range as being the ideal situation for a maximum term for a structured payout. Why? Because I don't want to get to year 25 and half my money is still tied up and now I don't need it anymore. Because if I want something, I can create it. That's my point.
Yeah, and you could have been doing good things with those
Exactly.
things. Like, I want to be able to get a whole bunch of currency so I can help people and help everybody that I know that needs things. Like, why would you want it sitting somewhere, where same shit of these people that want to hoard all the wealth and hoard when you could be helping people in this here and now with those type of things. And then, having your heart feel good because you've done good things opposed to saving for a rainy day for later.
Well, and and if I can address this, I think it's important. When it comes to any kind of a structured payout, there's no interest. So all the money is going to sit on the quantum financial system, restricted in an account, a quantum access account for you in your name. And every quarter, there's going to be a distribution from it to you. Now, let's say you're 3 years in, and all of a sudden, that $2 million a quarter isn't enough anymore. You can't get any more money. You can't go in and restructure it. You're locked into that term. So you really have to be cognizant of the, how do I put this? The lost opportunity and what that potential is when you look at how long you want to tie your money up. Because again, remember, you're not getting paid to have your money tied up. It's more of a try to keep you from going broke situation. Because as I've said, new people with new money are notorious for being broke 3 to 5 years after. Hence the lottery winners. And we don't want people in that situation. So I don't know if I'll do a video on that. There's almost not enough time to do much of anything other than just come and visit with Jesse and visit with all of you, which is a fantastic opportunity to cover a lot of cool stuff. So, just be aware of that. We're not going to need money forever. And that's kind of why the system found us, because it did the same thing for a prior civilization. And I think it was said that they only used it for, gosh, what was it? It was less than 25 years. And they didn't need money anymore. They ran their civilization on their ability to create what they needed and a heightened consciousness.
And we're up to almost 800 people here that are here with us live. It just keeps on growing. So appreciate that. CN Stewart from our Rumble channel says, why are Trump and military still hoarding our national wealth? And before you answer that, I would say, I think it's timing. I think it's,
What do you mean by hoarding?
There's a lot of people that are still suffering. They don't have, there's a lot of people there. If there's so much wealth, why are some people going without? Why are, the military still not sharing the wealth like they should be,
Because they can't. And part of the part of the rub with that scenario is the fact that you still have that nefarious element looking for a way to steal it. And they've tried, believe me. They've tried to steal money. That was one of the things that happened very early on with the program. So they were locating what was going on, and that's where the operation stepped up to capture them. That's where the disinformation came about. And I'm going to share something now that I think is important too. There's talk that this tier 4B group, internet group, is going to get emails. And that's supposed to be you and I. No, that's not us. Those people, the only way they get an email is having been purchased, the bonds or the currencies, through what's called an MSB, multi-status bank, multi-status broker. So they're basically a bank. They're registered as a bank with the SEC. That was set up to check for money laundering. Banknote World is what was the term? Let me see if I can find it real quick. They're like a collection. They're a collectibles dealer. That's the term, collectibles dealer. So when anybody purchases through them, that information doesn't get reported to anybody. Now you will see that they have daily limits now on dinar and dong of $1,000 a day. So you're not going to be able to buy over $1,000 a day. Why? Because otherwise they'd have to report you in that transaction to the SEC, to the Treasury Department, just like a bank would. But they're not a bank. They don't operate as a bank. So they don't want to be in that limelight. So we're not going to be waiting to get an email from Wells Fargo in the 400,000 emails that some of the talking heads are talking about. See, they blend the tiered groups with the general public constantly because there's current operations that are still in place. So they can't tell us the real truth, but thankfully the Lord is giving me the revelation to tie everything together. So I get one little piece here, I get a little piece here, and then he wraps it up with a nice bow, and then I go, oh, that's why they're doing it. So then I can call them out, and they stop doing it. So just rest assured, when you use Banknote World and you purchase these bonds, your information is not going to the U.S. Treasury Department onto an email list so that Wells Fargo can send you an email. So just want to clear that up because that was a big sticking point. People were saying, oh, I'm waiting for my email. I'm waiting for my email. It's not coming. Now, if you purchased enough and you did it through an MSB and it was reported to the Treasury Department, then yes, your name's on a list. But other than that, it's not. So don't worry about it. Thank you. That was big.
Marissa was asking about why are the White Hats letting Gazans still get slaughtered right now? The stuff that's happening in the Middle East there.
Well, the thing that a lot of what is taking place over there now isn't real. The news footage is old footage. It could be 12 years old. And I've commented on this before. Because people don't typically have good memories nor access to information, some of this stuff is from old wars. So what you're seeing isn't real. I've heard from people on the ground that live there saying nothing's happening. There's no bombs, there's no rockets, there's nothing going on. But what's being portrayed in the media is the narrative. Now we know that there's a cleanup operation that has to take place in the Rothschilds created state of Israel. That's not the lineage of Jacob. That's the Khazarian mafia. Their tactic was to get rid of God's lineage for themselves. So they had land for themselves. So it's best if we probably stay away from watching that kind of stuff, because then we're forming what could be incorrect opinions because we're not there. And it's too easy to do. And they dictate the narrative. So I would just put it down, cover it with love, and just know that God's in control. They're doing everything that they possibly can to minimize casualties. That's job number one, right from Trump. And that's why January 6th didn't happen. And I've talked about that. Didn't I talk about that, Jesse?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that.
No, I think that's it for the questions.
Yeah. Wow, we did good. No, it's a whole new world, everybody. Whole new world. And just relax into it. Just let it unfold. Don't be in a rush for anything. I mean, I'm getting ready to do another video on how we've been lied to in the mortgage industry. Oh my gosh, I had to stop. I was so appalled. And unfortunately, there's people we know in that business that have been selling that con and participating in that con to take people's money. And it's going to stop. And I think there was a question earlier on about what's going to happen to the real estate market. It's going to have some big changes. Yep. Gin and Jews. So not everything is going to be unfolded at one time. So we just have to be patient as it does roll out. Because again, it's a process. We're not trying to get someplace super fast. They know people need money. But they're making sure that everything is taken care of. Like I said, there's other countries that are already involved in their GESARA, and the US is 3 weeks behind. So you can do the math. And we just got word the other day that it had begun. 21 days, 3 weeks.
So we're close.
Yeah. We're so close. And like I said before, if we know that June 2nd is the end of the 7-year tribulation, having started July 11th, 2017, and the midpoint matches with the end of the 7,885-year contract between God and Satan, then it's important. June 2nd, what is that? How many days away is that? Rough guess.
June 2nd?
Mm-hmm.
From now, what are we, the 10th? So 21 days?
3 weeks. Yeah, there you go. So get your stuff in order. Now is not the time to procrastinate. Get that humanitarian template completed. Now, what do they always say? The plumber is the only one that has leaks in his plumbing because he takes care of everybody else, right? The painter always has the house that needs to be painted because he's painting everybody else's house. Well, I just finished mine completely last week because I was taking care of everybody else. So we make sure everybody else is taken care of before we take care of ourselves. So if I'm telling you that I just took care of my family for us, that ought to tell you something. And I can feel it in the air. I can feel it.
Are you a painter?
No, I can paint. I can do everything. They're not afraid to try. I remodeled an entire house on the coast, all by myself and my wife, right before 9/11. We were at the house doing the remodel on 9/11. I got shocked 7 times doing wiring. I had a chop saw explode in my face, Jesse. I was 3 inches away from the blade, and that aluminum plate just blew up, and not one piece touched me. God has me here for a reason. So I'm bold in that assuredness of what he has me doing, because he's never been wrong, ever. Everything that he has told me has been proven to be 100% true. Jimmy Valley has attested to that in the valuation committee. They all thought I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And then he had to set the rest of the group straight. That his due diligence came back, and everything that I've been saying for a year and a half back then was 100% true. And where did it come from? The Lord. Who's the source that knows everything? The Lord. So why would I question it?
Makes sense. Well, thank you so much for coming here and sharing all this information. Last question comes from Ryan Elliott. It's been asked a few other times. You were saying like they know your heart's at the Redemption Center, and they know. You were saying they a lot. Want to know who is they, and if you could maybe just end off with that.
Yeah, it's it's part of, I think, what your next speaker is going to talk about. It's off planet. So it's coming from the others that are helping us. I don't know them. Let me put it this way. I don't know which group that is, but I believe it's a collective effort. So you've got the Palladians, you've got other off-planet help, interstellar help. So they're doing a lot of the checking with their technology. So that's where the scanning's coming from. I kind of imagine that you're going to sit down. Well, let me put it this way. They already know our hearts, right? We're basically emitting that energy right now. So you walk in there and you've got your humanitarian initiative trust done. They know. They already know you're a good person. You're being checked every single day. They know who needs to make the changes. But when we get there, if they already know, that's why they can get it done in 30 minutes or less. But I kind of looked at it from the respect that, and this came up in a discussion with the director of the quantum financial system. And it was, well, you just sit down and you're looking at a screen and they're checking to make sure right at that moment. And you either go through door number 1 or door number 2. Door number 1 takes you to the next station. Door number 2 puts you on the escalator. Beam me up, Scotty. I mean, there's no mincing of words here. You're either good or you're bad. You're either going to go through or you're not going to go through. You're not going to be warehoused into a prison system. You're going to be placed off planet to where all that stuff goes. So we have to make sure that we have prepared ourselves. Now, when we start to see during that 10 days of disclosure, and the last 3 days is about encounters and Palladians and such, people are probably going to be on the floor bawling their eyes out. And they should be, to get back to the Lord. And it's just a simple request. Father, I've been going the wrong way. And I know better now. I want to be with you. I want to be redeemed through your son, Jesus. I know he died for my redemption. And I give you praise and thanksgiving for that right now in the name of Jesus. Thank you for having received me. That's it. How hard was that? Nobody got flogged. Nobody got sent to the gulag. And God's just there waiting with open arms. Welcome home, son. Welcome home, daughter. Let's go talk about our life together. How could you not be happy knowing that? So I encourage you, get up right now. 5-second rule. Take action. Send Jesse a great thank you for putting on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And what he was talking about, the theys, next week on Tuesday, so it won't be our next one, but it'll be next week. We've got on Monday, we've got Dr. John Scott Perez, and we're supposed to have Tommy Kerrigan, but I've got some stuff I got to take care of, so I'm going to have to reschedule him. He's another podcaster. On Tuesday, we've got Holden Noel, and then in the AM, and then Gene Decode is coming back, I think, for the third or maybe fourth time. And he's going to be talking about the good ETs out there. He's going to go into maybe describing them, the ones that are helping and assisting humanity right now, extraterrestrials, beings from other places and races. When Dave was talking a lot of they will know your heart, they know your heart and things. Apparently there's these beings from other places that we're going to go into a deep dive with Gene Decode into uncovering some of those days or all of those days. We'll see what happens, but that's on Tuesday next week. On Wednesday, we've got Chris IP Hunter, an ex-military guy who's received a whole bunch of military injections, and part of on his injection says unknown. So this was years ago. Like, could you imagine being in the military and, you know, your service record for medical, and it says they've injected you with unknown things? So he's an investigative journalist. We're going to be talking to him. And then we've got Dr. Robert O. Young coming back, I think, for the third or the fourth time. Fascinating doctor. Then on Thursday, we've got Sean Yankee. He's another podcaster from Facebook. And then on Friday, we've got Deborah Evershed. And then Saturday, we've got Dwayne Hayes, Diego Garcia. He's a forensic historian who goes deep into the history of the politics on how everything got to. So that's another busy week here on The Missing Link. Thank you, everybody, for all your likes, comments, hearts, shares, and stars. We appreciate all of your love and support. Welcome to all the new people that are seeing us here for the first time. We have, I think, almost 900 people here now with us, a whole bunch from Twitter. So please hit the subscribe. We got Gene Decode next week, and then the week after, we've got Carrie Cassidy coming back. So she's booked. I think she's probably going to talk a little bit about these ETs and aliens and stuff. So just fascinating, all the people that we're having here on The Missing Link. So subscribe, hit the thumbs up, share this out to as many people as possible. And like Dave said, take action, do something, take action. Don't just sit there, grow some food, go call somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time and just tell them that you love them. Connect to the Father. God just wants you to connect back to him, so that anytime that you can connect, and Dave just gave you an example, you find it in your heart what's the best thing for you to say. But God wants you, and we've been disconnected for far too long. And sending love to you all. Have a wonderful weekend wherever that may be for you in the world. Knowledge is power. The more knowledge we all have collectively, the less power that they have over us. For one love, one heart, one life. Namaste, everyone. And if they ever ask you to put on a breathing inhibitor again, make sure you tell them, no maske.
Exactly.
Okay,
God
awesome.
bless.
Thanks.
God
Thanks
bless.
again. God bless you, Dave. Bye everyone. We'll see you next time we see you back here on the Missing Link.